Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Elbow Nudge podcast. This is episode 6, and I'm here with my good friend, Caroline.
Yeah,
Caroline, how are we doing today?
we're doing great. I'm so happy
It's a
with
very special episode, is it?
yes it is.
Why is that?
Very, because today we are covering one of my favorite franchises, and with the cherry on top is one of these movies is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Tell them.
We are covering the Oceans franchise.
The entire Oceans franchise. Oceans
Yeah,
11, Oceans 12, Oceans 13, and Oceans 8.
that's correct.
We've seen them all, right?
You've seen them all. I have seen all in half. Uh,
I'll be your Oceans super fan for the episode because I've seen them all from beginning to end. So if you have any questions,
if anything,
I'm your
watching
guy.
Ocean's 8 just docks you down. A real Oceans fan would not watch Ocean's 8. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I haven't seen it fully, so I don't want to
Yeah, I was
just
like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
yeah, I
Star Wars
haven't seen
fans
it.
have seen the prequels.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I haven't seen Ocean's 8 fully, so I don't want to like just totally rat on it, but yeah.
I got
I'm
some
gonna,
things to say about these movies, Caroline,
I'm
and I think it's
excited.
gonna be a good one.
I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm a little bit nervous about some of the things I have to say.
Oh no, now you're getting me nervous because I'm a little traumatized after last week with True Grit. You kind of traumatized me with your Western hate, and now
You
it's
already knew about that.
yeah, but now
You knew
I
about
really
that going
thought
in.
that maybe one I have this like this fool's gold dream that one day I'll recommend you a Western movie and it will change your whole perspective and you'll wake up a changed man like Ebenezer Scrooge in a Christmas Carol and be like, I was wrong about Westerns this whole time. They're actually great films. I see it now. And then you'll be like, see a young boy crossing the street, young man, what day is it? And he'll be like, today. And he's like, go buy a horse or something. like that's my vision of you finally liking Westerns.
I mean, again, I did see Back to the Future 3,
I haven't seen it, so I can't be the judge of that, but I'm talking
and that's
about
in
like
my favorite franchise. No,
that
it's
is
not my favorite,
it's
but it's
one
one of my
of.
favorites. Yeah.
So you're like, I don't like Westerns, but you've liked two Western movies. You like Back to the Future 3. Westerns aren't all that bad.
No, I didn't like Back to the Future 3. That's why I bring it up.
I'm getting
I
so
thought it was
confused on this whole
okay.
thing.
I thought it was okay.
One of these days, I want to recommend you a Western movie that just completely changes your perspective on Westerns, and you'll appreciate Westerns.
You think it'll retroactively make me think, wow, I was wrong. All those
Yes,
movies that I thought were good, but I won't rewatch, I think they're fantastic now, and I want to rewatch them
this
all.
movie makes me want to rewatch those Western movies. One of these days.
All right, I mean,
It's a
I hope
dream.
there's not so many in a row when we do our recommendations episodes, and then we
No,
go
no,
through
no.
Western after
I'm not
Western
gonna.
after Western. And I'm
Absolutely
gonna
not.
watch animes after animes after animes, and I'm gonna recommend you good movies after good movies after good. You're gonna be having a good
Aw.
time.
I'm gonna be happy. I'll be like, wow, that was a great movie. And you're like, so she
Wish I could say the
recommended
same.
so she recommended me The Man from Snowy River. It's
Ah,
another Western.
how do we
The
do this one?
fifth one in a
Yeah,
row. I
some
don't
guy's a
like
cowboy hat.
Westerns. This guy's on a horse.
Yeah, and you know the good guys won in the end. You know,
I ain't gonna do you like that. I'll stagger it.
that's fine. That's fine. I'll go ahead with that. But
I appreciate you being a
Caroline,
champ,
let's
but let's
focus
talk about
on yeah
exactly
today. Today is very important. There's a lot to
today.
go over. We're covering 4 movies,
Exactly.
the entire Oceans franchise. So I want to jump all over the place. We're gonna be comparing. We're gonna be describing scenes we liked, probably
I
didn't like.
I agree, but I think before we do, I do kind of want to give our listeners a little bit of a background
We
about
have
the
to.
oceans. Yeah, even if it's a short summary, because I feel like these movies you don't have to explain in great detail. You can just explain kind of the premise and then a little bit about how this film is structured. But I think we need to get some introductions in there.
Of the movies? Oh, because I misunderstood. I think you should explain why these movies are important to you, and then I'll explain how recently I saw these movies.
I'll get into why they're important to me, but I think before I do, I want to talk a little bit about the cast or characters really of this film and why it starts as it starts. I'll focus on Oceans 11, 12, and 13, and then you can kind of carry it with 8 because I haven't seen all of it, and I
Okay.
don't, and I purposefully block it in my memory because I want to cherish 11, 12, and 13 so much. It's like an Oceans purist that I am.
Okay.
But for our listeners out there, first of all, you can watch Oceans 11, 12, and 13 on HBO Max
And 8.
and 8. And I think they're even available on Hulu as well, but they're definitely available on HBO Max. And these movies star stars such as George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Bernie Mac, Julia Roberts in the first two. Catherine Zeta-Jones makes an appearance in the second. Al Pacino makes an appearance in the third. There's a lot. This is a start. Oh, Don Cheadle is in this movie. Matt Damon. Uh, there's
Casey
just
Affleck.
Casey Affleck. This is a star-studded cast, especially for the time. This is Ocean's 11 comes out in 2001. And so this was like a star-studded cast for the 2000s. These were the it actors in the 2000s. I love, just like as a side note also, I love that each movie has that grainy effect that we always talk about when it comes to these older
Yep,
movies.
yep. I
It,
kept
it
that in
ha-
mind when watching Ocean's 8.
oh, yeah. They did keep that a little bit around. And 11, 12, and 13 have that same consistency with it. It's the same director across the board for those three. His name is Steven Soderbergh, and Soderbergh, he's quoted when he was making 11 that he wanted to make a film that would give an audience the feeling of I believe it was, where is it? I wrote it down. Yeah, he wanted a movie that you just surrender to without embarrassment and without regret, meaning he wanted it to be a good experience from beginning to end. And he wanted it to be something that you wouldn't feel necessarily bored in. You were able to just sit back, enjoy the film. It wasn't part of like this movie has that kind of it's got a little bit going for it because it's almost works in the same way Avatar worked for James Cameron. It wasn't based off of a book or a comic book or have like a fan base like that. This was something that would grab audiences of all types. And then especially when you have this cast involved, everybody's going to be like, oh, hey, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, they're in it. Let's go see it kind of thing. And so the first movie starts off Ocean's 11 with Danny Ocean, played by George Clooney. He just gets out of prison and we find out that he's kind of this he's like a grifter. This guy loves to you know plan and execute heists, and at some point in the film, before the film, his wife, who's played by Julia Roberts, her name is Tess, she found out and she left him and he went away. Also, like that was the thing, was he got caught at some point in a heist. He went away to prison. His wife didn't know that he was in the heist business, and so she left him. So he gets out. He finds out that his wife is seeing another man. This man happens to be Terry Benedict, a casino owner. He's played by Andy Garcia, and he gets a little upset and he wants to steal now from Terry Benedict as a petty way of like you took my wife in this roundabout way and now I'm gonna hit your hotel in the way I do best with a con. So he goes to his right-hand man Rusty, played by Brad Pitt, and they assemble a crew. They start casing these casinos. He's gonna hit 3 casinos: the Bellagio, MGM Grand, and the Mirage. And as they're casing it, Rusty tells him, we're going to need like a whole crew to do this job. And then when Ocean says, how many? And he says, about 10. So Ocean plus 10, Ocean's 11. And that's where the movie picks up. The rest of the movie is about these 11 guys coming together. They all have a different role to play in this heist, and they plan it. They're able to execute this heist in stunning fashion. It's so smooth from the planning to the execution to the finale. It's amazing. And then when we go into Ocean's 12, we kind of deal with the fallout of that because Terry Benedict in Ocean's 11, he has this reputation that if you cross over him after you, he also goes after your family, the people you love, anybody like a bulldog. And so he finds out that these stole from him and he wants them to pay him back. So they what's it called? They get involved with Toulour and they have to steal this egg, this Fabergé egg. And when this thief, his name is Toulour, he's this master thief, he tells them, I'll pay off your debt to Terry Benedict if you beat me in a race to steal this Fabergé egg. And this movie, because like the first movie, Ocean's 11, took place in Vegas. The second movie takes place in, I believe it's Amsterdam. And
It moved around.
yeah, they definitely moved around Europe for the second movie. And just along the way in the second movie, we find out that Rusty has this old flame played by Catherine Zeta-Jones who works in law enforcement. There's this super like subplot about Rusty and Catherine's, and Catherine Zeta-Jones, her name is Isabel. They have this romance. It turns out her father was this master thief, and so there's just a lot of plot aspects that could be talked about in 12, but I feel like if I were to summarize it, it would be giving this like in-depth explanation. But in the essence, it went from a heist to being a thief off in 12.
We'll get into it. This is a summary.
This is the summary. So they're able to beat Toulour and this thief off. They steal the egg, and so they pay back Terry Benedict, and they're able to go back home, and everybody is fine until Ocean's 13 comes around. One of the 12, one of the 11, my bad, his name is Ruben. And Ruben gets involved with a guy named Willie Bank. Willie Bank is played by Al Pacino. And they're about to open a casino together, but then all of a sudden Willie Bank crosses Ruben and Ruben has a kind of stroke, heart attack, ? And that leaves him a little bit incapacitated. And the Ocean's gang is like, no, not our boy, not our homeboy. So they now have this plot that they want revenge on Willie Bank for what he did to Ruben. And their way of getting back on Willie Bank is to just ruin this whole opening of this hotel that he was supposed to open with Ruben. So they want to just ruin this guy's business reputation, the possibility of getting this like super award for this hotel. They want to ruin his opening night. They want him to lose all this money because to build this hotel, Willie Bank had to borrow a lot of money. He also gave up a lot of seats on the board. So he has to clear and gain $500 million on opening night if he's going to keep his spot as like CEO of this company. And they're like, you know what? We're going to ruin that. So they rig all of these casino games and machines. They rig everything. So on opening night, all these people win a bunch of money. They're able to successfully leave and escape this heist with this heist going off with success. And that is the last of the Ocean's 13 movies, of the Ocean's movies starring
Hold
the
on
guys.
now.
And then we're hit with a little indie film called Ocean's 8.
What do you know about this, Caroline?
I
You
know
want me to
that
explain it, or do you know it?
I only know that it takes place. So first of all, Sandra Bullock plays Debbie Ocean, Danny's sister, and she wants to steal a diamond necklace from the Met Gala, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she wants to steal this necklace. So she needs a crew. She has her right-hand woman, which is Kate Blanchett, and so they recruit a crew. It's 8 women in total to steal this diamond necklace, right?
Yes.
Am I missing anything else?
That's the gist of it, and is also in the same vein as the other movies, a personal motivation for Debbie. That's her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is a personal motivation for her as well, just like every other Ocean movie. She's not doing this just to steal the necklace, it's to get back at an ex that got her, that put her in jail purposely. So, yeah, but we'll find out a little bit more about that in a bit. But that's pretty much the summary of the whole franchise. Pretty well done.
Yeah. So let's start off. Let's Let's jump around now. This is the part, now that we've gotten the intros out of the way, I want to ask you, what were some of your favorite scenes in watching these movies?
So I want to let everyone know that I didn't see these movies until just recently, just this past week. All of them. And the order that I saw it in was also kind of different. I saw Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 8, and then we're hot off the heels of Ocean's 13. We just finished watching.
Yep, we just
Yeah.
finished 13.
So I would want to start in order, not necessarily my viewing order, but the order that they came out
Theatrical?
in. Yeah.
Theatrical release?
Ocean's 11. I gotta say, this is easily the best one, and I enjoyed it very
Oh,
much. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this is my
Yeah,
favorite one.
Ocean's 11 is good. It's real good.
The first thing I have to mention overall before getting into any scenes is that the pacing is perfect for me. As it was going, you're being introduced to Danny, to Rusty, to Ruben, very slowly building up. They're telling you what the motivations are. You're finding out who's doing what and why. And then you're gathering the crew. I
Yeah.
love that as well. You're gathering one by one. Why are we picking this person? Why are we picking this person? Why are we picking this person? And as the movie's going along, it gets to a point where they have to do some, they have to get some intel. They have to get some key cards. They have to do things in the casino. And they're already going in disguises. And then that's when I was thinking, wait, is this already, are we in the heist already? I wasn't ready for this. This is so fast. And then I was trying to think, how far in the movie are we? I have no idea. Has it been 20 minutes? Has it been an hour? I literally have no idea. And I think that was a good sign for me because it was
Yeah.
just going. It was just going really smooth. And I love the way that it built up to that. They really took their time to introduce each character, introduce the motivations, and then really explain the plan of what was going to happen.
I
I don't know if
completely agree.
you. Oh yeah, okay, okay.
I completely agree. The pacing of 11 is the best one because they're hooking you in as well. Like this is the first. I should also mention this movie did have an older version. This is adapted from a 1960s movie called Ocean's 11. You want to guess who played Danny
That
Ocean?
is so cool. I had no idea. From what
I
year?
had 1960. I haven't seen it. I have not seen the 1960s version. I have always wanted to, but I have never found it on like a streaming service. It might be on HBO Max, but I'm always watching the George Clooney one.
You're calling
Um,
yourself a true Oceans fan and you haven't seen the
I'm a
original?
true
You haven't seen
Oceans
Oceans
fan
8?
that's directed by Soderbergh. I'm a true Soderbergh
So you're a
Oceans.
Soderbergh fan.
I'm a Ocean Soderbergh fan.
No, you're trying to sneak that in there. No, but all right. Who I can't imagine anyone from that era. Like no one's coming to mind. Who played the
Okay.
lead role?
He Danny Ocean in 1960 was played by Frank Sinatra.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
That's awesome.
Right?
We have to cancel this episode.
Oh, we gotta go watch Ocean's 11
Yeah,
from
we're not doing
1960.
this isn't the Oceans franchise. We're missing one.
It is the Ocean's franchise because the Ocean's 11 with Frank Sinatra is like a different story altogether. There's really no correlation except the names, I think.
Yeah, it's a reboot.
It's a reboot. This was a soft reboot.
All right.
So, but there is one. And so this movie was adapted very loosely. But this director, from what I have heard, because I think my mom has seen the original, and I remember her words was that this movie has just its own style, its own entity, even though it's adapted from a previous IP. And it really makes its mark. The pacing is good. The music is really good. I love the music in 11. And I guess like one of my favorite scenes is that moment where Linus is kind of giving Rusty like the lowdown about Terry Benedict. He's like, this man's a machine. Every day he does this, he does that, he gets this portfolio handed to him by his floor boss, and then they're with 3 fresh security codes that have just been changed 2 minutes ago. And then he turns around, he's like, and he goes, and then what happens next? And then she arrives. This is the best part of my day. And then Julia Roberts walks down the stairs.
They really made her out to be like the most beautiful thing in the planet.
She is Julia Roberts. She's gorgeous.
She's pretty. Yeah. But then
So,
Catherine Zeta-Jones shows up in the second one, and then that goes out the
Aw.
window.
I still think Julia's pretty. But yeah,
Oh, she is. She
Catherine
definitely is.
Zeta-Jones just had to come in and be all like, hey.
Yeah, they were like describing her in Ocean's
Yeah.
11, pretty much.
Aww.
No. Julia's very, very pretty. But now that you mention it, yeah, Terry Benedict, he's my favorite character in the whole franchise.
I had a
He's the best.
feeling you were gonna say that.
He's easily the best. And I have to start jumping off from that character. I love that he's disciplined. I love that he's very business focused. I love that he likes things done a certain way. I think he's so cool. He's like a secret mobster. He's not. I'm describing him like that. He just runs a
Yeah.
casino. But come on. He's like a secret mobster for real. He's so cool. But this brings up things that, for example, so when Danny Ocean was in prison, and
Uh-huh.
then what's her name? Tess decides to be with Terry. Did they get married or they were just dating?
They were just dating.
Okay. Right. That whole setup I already didn't like. Like since then, I mean, I thought it was okay that they were together. I know they kind of liked each other. There wasn't a lot of love. There was that conversation with Danny and Tess where he asked her, "Does he make you laugh?" And then she says
Yeah.
he
But
doesn't
he
make me
doesn't
cry.
make me cry.
Yeah. So that kind of tells you, you know what?
It,
She's
it's like
kind
a
of settling with him.
it's like a business
Yeah.
romantic relationship.
She's
Like
not excited to be with him, but it's an okay
and
relationship.
he has that kind of personality, Terry Benedict, about how like he's a very business oriented guy.
He won't kiss on camera
Yeah,
because the
and
camera's all over the casino.
I think that's what he wanted with Tess. He was looking for a business oriented woman who like, yes, we'll have dinner on Friday nights. I'll have a date, but you leave me to my business and I'll leave you to yours. But he had his moments where he was affectionate, and I think she would kind of want more of that, but that was all he was willing to give.
Yeah. And I get that. Their relationship was not all that great. It
Yeah.
wasn't abusive or anything bad, but it was
She
just
wanted
for
more
show.
affection and he wanted a partnership.
Yeah. So what gets me when I brought this up for is that Danny and Tess, I don't ship it. Yeah, I don't
Get
ship
out. Get
it.
out.
No,
Get
I don't
out of
like
this
it.
podcast. Tony.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. While he was in prison,
Why?
she decides to go for someone else because she doesn't like his lifestyle. And then she suddenly decides she likes his lifestyle. She mentioned she was pretty adamant about not liking the thievery, the stealing and the lying. But then, and that was such a great conversation too at the table where he's like, he's mentioning how Terry is pretty much uh, a liar and a stealer as well, except he's upfront about it. Or
Yeah.
yeah, that whole conversation was written so well. I loved it. I should have wrote it down. But anyways, I just didn't like how Tess she kind of just flip-flopped on her own opinions on this whole thing.
I always kind of thought that too, from watching. I think their relationship is definitely cemented in 12. Like they're the husband and wife duo in 12, and they're solid and things like that. But
Yeah, they're
a l-
solid. She's down with the stealing and his lifestyle.
they're
But in the
they're
first one, she leaves him. She doesn't like him for that, but then she decides, all right, I kind of like it now. Near the end.
I think there was this big thing that's unsaid in 11 though, that she never knew he was a heist man, and then for him to get caught on a heist, because he mentioned like, remember that time I left for cigarettes and never came back?
Yeah, I
And,
went to
and
prison.
Yeah, so that was him going and doing a job, getting caught and going to prison. So I think maybe like where she was like, I told you I'd write, and she sent him divorce papers.
Yeah.
So that is a little. Mm, I assume that they wanted this set up just for the movie to like that's why there's like a personal vendetta. This is
It's
also
very
Dan.
good, by the way. It is very good, and I do like it. I do like the motivation. But I don't really care for them being together, and I don't really buy it all that much. And also
Uh,
Danny calling Terry a liar and a stealer. I didn't really buy that either. I know he runs a casino, and casinos are built as a business to extract more money than you can win. But he's not out robbing banks and stuff. He's I think he's a more stand-up guy than Willie Banks.
anybody is a more stand-up guy when you compare him to Willie Bank.
But yeah,
But
I think he was just running a very good casino business. I don't think
yeah,
he was doing anything wrong. He was a pretty
I
fine
think
guy to me.
I think Terry Benedict comes off the wrong way because he's a brutal businessman. And yeah,
Yeah,
like his first thoughts were go into the police, go into the authorities. At the end of 13, Ocean tells Willie Bank, you're not gonna go to the cops because let's face it, you're not gonna go to the cops because Willie Bank has some shady business deals. Terry
exactly.
Benedict has no fear of calling the cops. He's calling in SWAT, he's calling the FBI.
No, he's running a legit business. That's what
But
I
I
like
think
about him. He's a legit guy.
I think he just gets a bad rap because he's very brutal. And like they talk about in the movie, you steal from this guy, he doesn't just ruin your life, but he ruins everybody around you.
That's a mob boss part that I like. Yeah, I like that. He's a cool dude. He's a very cool dude.
Just don't cross him.
Don't cross him.
What
I really do like him, and I don't see anything wrong with him. He was just running a casino business.
I think his problem was that he had a problem with Ocean and he was dating Ocean's girl.
Yeah, but the way he carries himself too,
Oh yeah, the way he talks.
the
Andy
way
Garcia
the way
is
he
so
walks, the way he
so
talks.
suave. The way he dresses.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the Ocean's 11 Ocean's franchise, but really Terry Benedict episode.
You want me to use that title again?
I already know you're gonna use that title.
We'll see how this unfolds. If I can't think of anything else, it'll be really Terry Benedict. I was considering it just from the first movie, calling it Rusty's 11, because that was a funny joke too.
Rusty. Oh yeah. Why isn't it like who do you like Ocean's 11? You know how degrading that is?
Uh,
Yeah. Who do we go to when we have a problem? Rusty.
Rusty. That is
And
true. He was running things.
and
Rusty's
that
really true.
goes to my favorite character. It's Rusty.
He's a cool dude.
I
He still likes that
love
hairstyle. He's
yeah,
a
he
cool dude.
does. Rusty is not my favorite for looks, even though he is Brad Pitt. He's got some pretty janky
He looks great
hairstyles.
from the hairline down.
Yeah, he does. And I don't like the hand tattoo, but I can look past it. It's his whole demeanor in all of these movies. Well, you know what? I don't want to exclude Danny Ocean because Rusty is nothing without Danny, and Danny is nothing without Rusty. These two come in pairs, and they finish each other's sentences. They are like reading each other's minds at times. I want to find somebody who treats me the way Danny treats Rusty and Rusty treats Danny. These two got their back. Like they're true homeboys.
Yeah, the bromance is strong with these guys.
They, I thought for a second you were gonna say that they had better chemistry than Danny and Tess.
So you are thinking it, huh? I didn't even have to say it. But on that note, Danny, I can tell from George Clooney's acting, very into Tess, very into her.
Oh yeah.
He did a great
Oh
job with
yeah.
that. But then,
He's always loved Tess. It's Tess
yeah,
that's
it was
flip-flop like a
mostly Tess
pancake.
that kind of ruins this relationship for me, and I'm not really on board with because she just decides, I'm leaving you. I don't like your lifestyle. And then again is like near the end, all right, you're fine. I accept you. You're a liar and a stealer, but that's okay. I don't like that. And he's been in prison for 5 years, right? Or shorter? I don't know how long it was.
I think it was four or five. It's around there.
I might be mixing it up with. Ocean's 8. But
How dare you? But yeah, I think, I want to rationalize this. I'm a team Tess. I like Tess, but there's a little bit of this is also due to writing. Can be just attributed to writing in itself, but I'm thinking maybe the theory of it is so she didn't know her husband is a heist man. He goes away for heisting. She gets upset. She's emotional. She's irrational. She files for divorce. And now she's seeing Terry Benedict. And her first love has always been her husband. She didn't divorce him because she doesn't love him or he cheated on her or anything. She divorced him because she was upset. He's away for 4 or 5 years and over something she had no idea he was doing behind her back. She probably felt betrayed. What if all of those times that she's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" and he's really out like casing a job or something. Like she just feels betrayed and she's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone like that. But after 11, after they've made amends and picks him up from when he gets out of prison again, spoiler, by the way.
oh yeah, I hope everybody knew that. I don't know how long we've been recording,
Yeah.
but yes, we're spoiling everything. Hey,
We
Caroline,
are
I'm
spoiling
spoiling
everything.
Ocean's 8 for you too.
Oh, yeah, I don't
All
mind
right.
that. You can spoil that movie
Okay.
for me. But, after they get out, he explains to her that because he doesn't like steal from just anybody. He's not like as if he's robbing little mom and pop shops. He steals from these tycoons that are, they like even with Terry Benedict, he stole from Terry, but he knew that the insurance money would make him whole again. He's not stealing from somebody who needs the money. This is just what he does. He's a heist man, and he'll steal from these big corporations and things like that. And maybe she's like, okay, we'll stay together, but you can't lie to me anymore. If you're gonna, if you're doing a job, tell me. If you're casing a place, tell me. I want you to be honest with me. And that's why they get back
That's what
together.
Ocean's 12, you mostly see a lot of that.
You definitely, yeah, they've definitely had that kind of conversation in 12, even from the get go when she has that code word with him and he's like, hang up.
Yep.
Like they've talked it out and he's like, okay, now that we're in this, we need to have code words. But that's kind of the way I rationalized that whole process in 11.
I see it. I just don't like it. I see it. I
That's
see the
fair.
reasoning. I just don't like it. That's
That's
it.
more than
That's
fair.
it. And yeah, and also just calling out Terry. I don't agree that he's a liar or a stealer. That's a stand-up dude. Probably
You've
not
seen him
very lovey-dovey, or romantic, but he's a fine guy.
from one resting slack face to another.
All right. All right. Maybe I see a role model. Sure. Call me out on that. No, I'm kidding.
You see an aspiration. That's what you're going to be dressing like in 5 years.
You should have seen my face when I saw him come on screen.
Was it exactly the same as his in that resting face?
It's the way that P.T. Barnum saw Jenny Lind when she sang for the first time. I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up.
No one else will ever be
Exactly.
enough.
Exactly. Slack face people need love too. But anyway,
What other characters did you like after the amazing Terry
of the
Benedict?
actual Ocean's crew, a lot of them are great, but I do have to pick the standouts. Man, giving credit to Danny and Rusty, of course they're awesome. They got the smoothness, they got the suits, they got the looks, they got they're cool under pressure. They're awesome. But I gotta say, Matt Damon,
Yeah, Linus.
Linus, I gotta choose him
He
as my
has such
favorite. I
a
really do like him. I like the way he carried himself throughout the whole franchise.
you know I don't want to roast you
All right, Caroline. I
again,
saw myself in him.
but
Fine. I
no,
related. Sure.
I was rewatching 11 yesterday, and I don't know why. As I was watching, Linus goes through quite an arc in these three films. I don't know if you noticed that. Like in
Yeah,
11
his
and
nose
12,
grew bigger
he's
from one movie to the next to the next.
That's a hook for the listeners who haven't seen
Yeah.
these movies. Why is his nose getting bigger? Anyway, uh, he goes through kind of this character growth arc in 11. That's like his first job. He's a baby
Mm-hmm.
heister, and it's
Baby's
because
first sight.
his dad, baby's first heist. It's because his dad wants him to get in on the family business and start heisting. And so this is his first job in 11. And then in 12, he's in this little befuddle because of 11. And then in 13, he's kind of, he's grown into his own. He's got his own roles. He's not so unsure of himself anymore. He's able to be a confidence man, all of that. But when I was watching 11, because like I said, I've seen 13 so many times, I kind of forgot how he started off in 11. And as I was rewatching 11, I don't know why, I was just like, this looks like the kind of guy that likes to listen to a lot of emotional, like motivational speeches. He's probably subscribed to Jordan Peterson, Gary Vee,
Probably
all
plays
those
board
guys.
games.
He probably plays board
He probably
games,
likes walking out
likes to
in the middle of the
goes
night.
likes to take walks in the middle of the night in the park,
He probably
and
pours his cereal before his milk. A real weirdo.
probably goes vegan for a couple of months at a time. Probably likes to go and order some pub subs. Yeah, he's kind of giving me that
He's
vibe.
not a big fan of Christmas.
Probably a big fan of Thanksgiving.
He seems like the type of guy who
You
would sleep
know,
on the floor for a couple years.
he seems like the type of guy that you give him like 20 more years and he'll start dressing like Terry Benedict. Just, all around fella.
So you really see that, huh?
I was definitely listening to him and the way he talks, I was like, this guy definitely listens to motivational speeches and like subscribes to Dave Ramsey, Gary Vee, Jordan Peterson kind of guy.
You
That's how he
found my
starts
personal
off.
YouTube
Like,
channel?
yeah, it's on your liked
Oh,
playlist.
that'll be terrible. I tried so hard to keep that a secret.
Tried so hard. But no, Linus gives off that, like, he's trying to, because he's even always asking in 11, he's like, I can do it. I can do it. And they're like, Linus, stay in the car. Like, they're always doing things like that
Yeah.
to him. He's always trying to prove himself. And then when they kind of have that fake beef with Danny, because they're like, no, you're out. Like, that's it. You've been had. You're out. And they tell Linus, like, you're up. Now you have to do it. That's like a little hazing
Yeah,
for
yeah.
him.
And then when they meet in the elevator shaft, they're just like, oh, we have to make it a little fun.
We had to make it
Yeah.
fun. And he's like, really?
I like his heart. I like how he's committed to bettering himself. And I like how he's always the most inexperienced one. Well, not really. No.
Yeah.
He could really hold himself. I guess he's the least confident or
Yeah, definitely.
no, because he does
Definitely the
believe he
least
could do
confident.
it. I guess he just like he's kind of clumsy. I guess he's just
The thing is like, so in this crew, everybody has their own roles, but his role is also like a trade-in for Rusty and Danny. So like, they play that kind of all around role where, Basher is demolitions and the brothers are like more in the technology but also kind of that funny more labor intensive side, and then you have the amazing Yen where he's their trapeze artist. He's the one that goes and does all these impossible stunts. But then you have Rusty, Danny. They are the ones that go undercover. They're casing the place, they're finding info, they're doing recon, they're also kind of doing that sleight of hand every now and then. And that's also how Ocean discovers Linus does a little sleight of hand on him. He does like a little pickpocket, and Ocean is impressed. So he tells him like I'm gonna recruit this kid for the job, kind of thing. So Linus is definitely in that same role as Rusty and Danny, but he doesn't have the confidence. And then in 11, he doesn't have the experience. And so that's what he's learning from these two master con artists is the art of the con and how to do it.
okay. Yeah, so that is his arc over the 3 movie franchise. Well, the original beloved franchise.
The 3 movie
Yeah,
franchise, yes.
but yeah, so I would have to choose him as my favorite. I just like the way he goes about things. I like that he's the most new to the to heisting and to the crew.
He's definitely a fave. I don't know if you notice Davy's Disney Plus name every now and then. There's this scene in Ocean's 13 that we just saw where he's like, "This is Lenny Pepperidge, aka Lenny the Pep,
Uh-huh.
aka Sheldon Wills, aka Little Timmy Hartwell," and that's one of Davy's names on Disney
There you go.
Plus. Little Timmy Hartwell.
Maybe he should be Little Peps so it can actually fit and it's just not dot dot dot. Because it just shows up as like
The
yeah.
or like little
Yeah, LITTL and then dot 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 dot
dot
dot,
dot dot
yeah.
dot. It's a play on it because I think I have little Mo with a gimpy
Mhm.
leg from Home Alone 2. But then also like just as a side note, now that I'm remembering and I don't want to forget it, in Ocean's 13 when his dad is saying all that, when he says aka Sheldon Wells, that's the name that Linus introduces himself to Terry Benedict as in Ocean's 11. When he's wearing that like sweater vest with the glasses.
Say that again? I'm trying to
He
I'm trying to have my mind keep up with what you said.
So his dad is saying like this is Lenny Pepperidge, aka Lenny the Pep, aka Sheldon Wills, and then that's a callback. That's a little deep cut to the Ocean superfans in Ocean's 11 when Linus is sent in to talk to Terry Benedict, and he's dressed as kind of that
Yeah.
nerd, and he has to go and he's like, "Mr. Benedict, I'm Sheldon Wills from the Nevada Gaming Commission."
Okay, okay. I didn't remember him
So,
um introducing himself as that name, but that's cool. That's a cool
yeah, that's
callback.
just a little deep cut for any Ocean super fans out there.
And you reminded me that scene, that like interrogation scene pretty much with Terry, Linus pretending to be in the Nevada, what is it?
The Nevada Gaming
Gaming
Commission?
Commission. Yeah, and then Bernie Mac's character. What's
Yeah.
his name? Is it Frank?
Frank.
That whole scene, and again, this is all credit to Terry because it's because of him that it feels so tense. Like whenever he's in a room, it's like this guy means business. You can't pull a front on him. And yeah, during that interrogation scene, it was so cool because they had to cause an outrage. You know, Bertie
Yeah.
Mac pulled like the race card to make it a little bit more uncomfortable. And then Linus had to do the quick sleight of hand, the pickpocket when he bumps into Terry. But
Got the
I felt a
codes.
lot of tension in that scene. I was just thinking, are they pulling this off? Is he buying this? Is he buying this right now? I don't know. Because there was a
And
scene with Saul
yes,
where he straight up
exactly. This
tells
is
him,
he
I don't believe you."
I don't,
So,
like frankly, sir, I just don't trust
yeah.
you. That's the thing too is with that scene with Saul where that guy comes out and he's like, "Saul, remember me?" and he's there as Mr. Lyman
Yeah.
Zerga. And that's like already that's the big like wrench in the wheel where it's like, did it all just crumble? Because Terry Benedict is a sharp guy. Yeah, and you can immediately tell on his face that Benedict is like piecing together that something is happening, but we don't know what he's thinking. He's not telling anybody what he's thinking, and then we go through this scene with with Saul and he tells him like, frankly, Mr. Zerga, I just don't trust you. And then it's like, okay, then we break away from there and we go to Linus. And then when that scene is going on in that room, this tense moment between Linus and Frank and Terry Benedict, and Linus even kind of looks like he's unsure if Terry is buying it. And then we like it gets the audience to think like, is he catching on? Is he catching on to what's going on, this plan?
And even before that, when Rusty was giving him the quote unquote pep talk or the advice on how to carry himself,
I
it's so
love
awesome.
that. I love that pep talk. Actually, I have the script and I saved I copied and pasted it into my
Let's
notes.
hear it. You got
And
it. Let's hear it.
he told he tells him like he was like, I ask you a question and you have to think of an answer. Where do you look? And Linus looks down and he's like, dead. You look down, they know you're lying. You look up, they know you don't know the truth. Don't use three words when one will do. Don't shift your eyes. Always look at your mark, but don't stare. Be specific, but not memorable. Funny, but don't make him laugh. He's gotta like you, then forget you the moment
I
you've
love
left his
that.
sight. And for God's sakes, don't under any circumstances
Yeah, walks up. Wait, what? What was that?
you
Wait, what? Come back.
wait, what? Come
What?
back. And they're like, Rusty, can I talk to you for a minute? He's like, yeah,
And for
okay. And he
God's
leaves.
sake, no
Whatever you do.
under any circumstance. I love that. I love that.
That is my favorite scene in 11. Like that scene, and then couple it, like I want to stitch it with the scene where Linus is actually with him.
And
It's
then,
so
I don't
good.
remember in Ocean's 13 if they did that, but they pulled that again in Ocean's 12, where this time is with Danny and Rusty, and they're telling him is basically another. I'm just calling them pep talks, but they're basically just prepping him before the encounter. And this time they're meeting with that guy in the cafe, and they're like speaking in code and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah. What's his
another
name?
like,
Like,
don't screw this up, no pressure, but if you mess this up,
if we lose, if because if we lose this guy, we're dead.
Was there another scene like that and I missed it in Ocean's 13 where he's supposed to do a big move that had a lot of supposed high stakes or high pressure?
It was the sponder, but they didn't give him a pep talk. This is the bird learning how to
Okay.
fly
Okay.
moment in
Well, I
13.
like those. I like
Where
the first one was
yeah,
masterful. It just it was just so perfect.
if and the line delivery from Brad Pitt is
Yeah.
perfection.
Because it was like, tell jokes, but don't be too funny. Stand out, but don't be too memorable. You need to be forgotten. You need to be remembered and forgotten in an instant.
Funny, but don't make him
Yeah,
laugh. He's gonna like you and then
I
forget
love
you the
that.
moment you leave
But
his
all of that
sight.
is true though, right? Because he has to be just likable enough
Yeah,
so that he gets
you have to be,
on Terry's good side.
and you can't be so memorable because then he's gonna be suspicious and he's gonna look into him. And we don't want, like, they don't want him to look into him. It's just got to be believable
Yeah,
enough, not too much. And in the director's notes in the script, it says Linus is left utterly bewildered. 1,000 commandments to remember and 15 minutes to remember them in.
it's awesome. That's one of the reasons why I love the character, and then he still delivers.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like a natural to him. He just doesn't have the confidence in himself. He can do it. And under pressure, he is able to do it. He just, he gets a little bit
Yeah.
unsure.
Are there any other scenes that come to mind? There's a lot of good ones, but before there's a lot of general things I want to say about the movie, but
I love the scene where the brothers are bouncing on the van and Bernie Mac is shaking hands with the used car
oh
salesman.
yeah, yeah,
And in the background, those brothers, I remember laughing so hard when I saw that. They're just bouncing on the truck.
they're definitely the
And then
comedic relief.
oh yeah, Casey Affleck is one of my favorites. I think he's so funny.
Not very much in
And
Ocean's
then
13 though. I know they did like they were a
they
little
tone it
goofy.
down a
They were
little
a little
bit.
goofy in Mexico, but outside of that, they weren't like knuckleheads like they were in Ocean's 11.
Yeah, in 11 they're definitely like more knuckleheady, and then in 13 they tone it down, but they still bring in a majority of the comedy, especially with that like I'm trying to make it taller. You're a midget in 34
Yeah.
states and an animal in the other 34.
Yeah, yeah.
24, 22. But where's the? I'm trying to look up that line where Bernie Mac is like, "Man, you got some really soft hands. You use moisturizer." I try using moisturizer, but my hands just keep using dry. I even went fragrance free for a whole year. Now, you're supposed to wear gloves before. We're all supposed to wear gloves before we go to bed, but I found that interferes with my social agenda, so I don't really do gloves anymore.
I love that. I
And that
wonder
guy,
if he was
yeah.
just improvising the whole scene.
Oh, absolutely. I would believe that. He's gotta be.
And he was really holding on tight because when they let go of the
Oh
handshake, you
yeah.
see the imprints of where he was clenching on the dealer's hand.
He was holding
Yeah, you
tight.
saw the
He's
white
like,
knuckles, you saw everything.
Everything. With that poor used car salesman is like, you know what? I think I could do you a deal that would give it to you for,
Like
what was it,
17,
15? He was like 17,
16,
16,000.
16.
No, you really would? They told me to come see you. They told me I would get a good deal if I come see you. And he's just like, oh, did they now? That poor guy.
A lot of these scenes, they all have a payoff. They all have a payoff
Oh
by the
yeah.
end. I'm just gonna call out specifically what came to mind. When you meet the brothers all the
Wait,
way in Utah? They were in Utah,
the
right?
car. Yep, they're in
Yeah,
Utah.
he's driving. They're like racing. They want to see if the remote control car is faster than the actual truck. And yeah, they have a moment. The brother's racing the remote control car, runs it over. Good laugh. But then it pays off in the end because when they're doing their fake getaway in the car, you see that it's controlled robotically with the remote control. That's one of the scenes that came to
Yep.
mind. But then obviously everything else is set up. The EMP, stealing like the huge EMP, the buying
Th-
the
this isn't
trucks.
this isn't a movie like Inception where I feel like when you watch Inception, you feel like you have to pay attention to even smallest of the details to get that kind of payoff or like because yes, these movies are amazing on rewatch. Like that doesn't negate it, but in 11 in the Ocean's movies, it's just a little bit easier to catch when a scene has paid off, when a callback has happened or a foreshadow and things like that. And you're like, oh, okay. And it really paid. 11, oh, 13, I feel like 13 does it a lot. Like if and when you rewatch it, 13 does it a
If it was.
lot, but it does it a lot. There, like that movie is plus 1000% amazing on rewatch. But 11 is so good that you even feel that way when you watch it the first time.
Ocean's 13 for me was like baby's first tenant. Except you can
No.
understand it. Tenet I gave up on. My brain was not smart enough for that.
And it was just I had the Wikipedia plot open while I was watching the movie because I wasn't understanding what was really happening.
I saw a YouTube breakdown, a visual breakdown showing the
Oh
timeline,
my goodness.
people crossing over, and a perfect visual breakdown, and I still didn't get it. I gave up. But Ocean,
It's like you watching those Kingdom Hearts
oh
breakdowns.
no, I can only get about 2
You,
minutes
you
in.
you will sooner understand Kingdom Hearts than you will understand Tenet.
That's a challenge because I really don't know. I don't know which one is easier to understand. But one is one
Kingdom
movie,
Hearts.
another one is 25
Like
confusing games.
that's a good point.
But I just want to give credit to Ocean's 11. I think it's such a solid movie. I think it's so solid from beginning to end. I love the payoff at the end. I love the whole heist. I love the build up. I love the plan. I love the execution. Obviously, I love the antagonist. It's it's the perfect
He's real.
heist movie. Like this is
He,
the heist formula.
oh
I
yeah.
love it.
Oh yeah. This is the start of my heist movie love. Was because I loved heist movies. I love any and all heist movies, and Ocean's 11 was the root of that. It's the seed. I originally saw it on VHS when my mom showed it to me, and I absolutely adored it.
I don't have any
And
other heist movies in mind, but I'm pretty sure this is the one that kind of set the formula for, all right, we're gonna need a hacker. We're gonna need a guy who could do
uh-huh.
this. We're gonna need a driver. We're gonna need this. I think this is the
The
one that did that, right? Oh,
original
well, oh yeah, does the original do that?
the well, I'm saying like the original heist movie where a lot of these heist films get their inspo from is called The Sting. It stars Robert Redford. Um, I like there's another heist movie called Sneakers, and Sneakers also stars Robert Redford. I've mentioned it to you before
Yeah.
about possibly watching it for the pod. That is a heist movie, but it's more of a they're a band of like digital hackers and they're doing a heist, but it is a heist movie.
Okay.
And that's a really good one. And it has that same kind of aspect of we have to assemble the crew, we have to do this job, and like all of that comes from this movie called The Sting. And The Sting doesn't have like a wide variety of crew. That's something that the modern heist movie has adapted, but The Sting does have like it's this one guy and he's done like the con, but now he has to um what was it, team up with this because like Robert Redford is kind of like a low grade con artist in The Sting, and then he has to team up with this like master con artist, and they do like this really big plot. And the tropes in that movie you'll see in every heist movie, but Ocean's 11 took it and just perfected it.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that definitively because, again, I haven't seen a lot of them. But my guess was that maybe this popularized that formula.
hmm One of the like when I was looking up yesterday, I was doing my little research on the Ocean's movies, and one of the pieces of trivia I found and I really liked was that Soderbergh, the director, wanted the 11 to have a natural chemistry. So he would tell them to hang out in their free time, and they would hit like because this movie was filmed like in Vegas, and they all had hotel rooms in the same floor or above one another. They were all living in the same hotel during the filming of this movie, and so they would meet for each other. Like they would meet each other at dinner. They would play, like they would gamble with each other. They would hang out. They would listen to stories. The guy who plays Saul, his name is Carl Rayner, and I think it was Andy Garcia said it was so hard to film the scenes with Lyman, like in the movie, it's Terry Benedict and Lyman Zedga, and he said it was so hard to film those scenes because Carl Rayner would make him laugh all the time. And so he like the right before the director would say action, uh Carl Rayner would lean over and whisper something in his ear that was either like provocative or something funny or silly, and Andy Garcia would belt out laughing. And so then Soderbergh was like, "Cut, we gotta start again.
All right, stop hanging out after hours. Jeez, we're running
Stop,
out of
stop
film.
hanging out. This is backfiring."
Terrible idea. Not worth it.
and this and George Clooney said this is why everybody returns for 12 and 13 because they all became friends through these films.
What happened to Julia?
So, well, Julia didn't come out in 13 because I think it was a scheduling
Okay.
conflict. She was already signed up for another movie, and as well as Catherine Zeta-Jones. But
Catherine
in
Zeta.
11, yeah, we'll get to
Yeah.
12, but 11 they all developed like a friendship. And then there is this trivia that I thought was pretty funny because Julia Roberts and George Clooney had always been friends prior to the movie. And I think that year that the film was in production, Julia Roberts was she was just announced to be the highest paid actress at that time, and she was earning $20 million per movie that she was in. And so when it was announced that she was casted as Tess Ocean, uh, George Clooney met her on set and handed her a $20 bill, and he was like, "I hear you're getting 20 a picture now. Welcome on set." So that was like a cute little nod to that.
That's awesome, and that makes sense because unless you're Marvel Studios, it's pretty hard to get that many actors together multiple times.
They really got like 12 or 13 actors back
Yeah,
in each movie.
that's awesome that it was consistently the same crew with extra people every time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, one of the last things I want to say about the movie is that I'm watching it and then I'm thinking, we're nearing the end, and I'm thinking, all right, this plan is going perfectly, like executed amazingly. But what's the catch? Where are they gonna get me? Like they have to get me, the audience. I know they're gonna do
Yep.
something, and I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, what is it? What is it? Because it's not gonna be that simple. They're not gonna just. Well, I'm gonna say this knowing what I'm saying. They're not just gonna walk out with the money. And then it wasn't until I saw the SWAT truck that I'm like, okay, all right,
Yep.
yeah, all right,
Yep.
I know how it's gonna happen, and that was so smart. I love that.
That was so cool. And that's even a callback to Rusty on the phone with him, where he's like, "No, you're gonna carry it out for
Yeah.
us." It was the whole execution of that plan is amazing. Just down to even Terry Benedict being like, is the hotel logo on the floor?" And he's like, "What? What do you mean? We had it installed on Tuesday."
Yeah.
Like, and that when he starts piecing it all together,
I love it.
I really, I really like the payoff. I know you're not the biggest Tess and Danny shipper, but I do love the payoff at the end where calls her and is like, "Turn to channel 88," and she turns on the TV and it's the live feed of the hallway,
Oh, yeah,
and
you know what? I
Danny.
didn't like that scene. You just reminded
No,
me. You reminded me about that.
I love that
You
scene.
know what I was thinking when that came
Uh,
up? Because it's a
what?
classic, like, all right, we're gonna catch him in the act, like the camera's on. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay, how are we gonna ruin him? Because he's like I said, I don't think I'm being a fanboy. He's a perfectly decent guy just running a casino business.
I don't think it ruins him. I think that's what he had been projecting, and that has been his expectations the whole relationship. He doesn't see her as, and like, he's not a guy who's all about romance. That's just not Terry Benedict's thing. He wants, he and Tess had this mature business relationship, but she didn't want that. She clearly was showing signs that she wanted more affection, she wanted that romance, the love, and he wanted somebody to take out to dinner and to, go out with on a Friday night, but not anything more than that. It was just like, okay, you and I are enjoying each other's company. But then Danny defines those perspectives in that scene where he tells Terry Benedict, like, "I can get you your money back, but you have to leave Tess. What do you choose? Like, do you choose your money or Tess?" And he said, like, "If I could guarantee you that I would get all your money back, would you leave Tess?" And then Terry Benedict goes, "Yes." And that's when Tess realizes, he does he set that definition, that defined line, that he cares more about his reputation than he does about like a romantic relationship. And so that also kind of clearly defined those relationship lines for her on where they stand with each other. And she didn't
I
want
think it
that.
was a
She
bit of a
wanted,
ruining, Caroline.
I don't think
I think it
so.
was.
I still
I
respect
saw it.
Terry Benedict.
Oh, he's still the man. He's not ruining my eyes. That's a perfect man. He's a role model. But
Oh
I
no.
think that scene was meant to ruin him because this is the way that I saw it. You're explaining him to want a relationship that is more business focused, right? Not very romantic. The way that I saw it is that all these scenes with him is at his casino, and I don't think he's very into PDA. I think he I think he is a little romantic when they're in private, but he doesn't want to do that when he's running a business, when he's directing employees, when he's the head of a huge casino and have to interact with other whales. So I don't think he wants to put out that kind of image. But my belief was when he's at home with her, they're a little bit more romantic. They probably sit on the couch together. They probably share a wine. They do this and that. I didn't get the impression that is a very loveless relationship. I think he's just in public. It's no PDA, but in private, yes. And you get to see a little bit of that. Granted, it's kind of to piss off Danny, but when they're sitting at the table, he's kissing her hand. It is for the jealousy factor. I know that, but I just didn't see it that way. That is like strictly business. I want this relationship to just be an image that I have a beautiful woman and I have a great business. I did think it was a little bit more to it than that. And then once this camera flips on and Tess gets to watch his true feelings, quote unquote, I'm like, ah, that kind of sucks because that's what I was telling you. I was thinking, all right, how are they gonna make him reveal that he's a terrible person? And this scene is supposed to show that he cares about money more than he cares about his woman. So in my eyes, leading all the way up to this point, if this question was asked of him, I think he would have said, "No, I wouldn't do that because I love her. We're together." But in this movie, they're supposed to represent him as so money focused, so business focused that yeah, of course I'll dump her. I want my money back. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. But it's fine. He's the antagonist. It's cool. It doesn't ruin the movie for me. It's still a fantastic movie.
I do see what you mean, but I'm going with my theory.
I'm going with my theory, but it's just a theory.
It's just a
What are you gonna say?
theory. Film theory. Do you want to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score for Ocean's 11
Ooh.
before we move on to
Oh,
12?
83 for critics and 90 for fans.
Did you look this up?
No.
You're right on the mark for critics. It's 83.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I always say an even number. I was thinking 80 or 85. I'm like, nah, let me go random. 83 for critics,
You
90
are
for
right on the mark.
all right, 90 for fans.
However, on audience, it's not 90, it's 80%.
Oh, okay.
But you're right on the mark for critics. It's even certified fresh.
Wow.
It is a fresh movie.
Awesome,
That's
awesome.
fresh. Now, before we get into 12, I do want you to guess, just right off the top, for the Rotten Tomatoes score for 12, because this is going to set the precedence for Ocean's 12.
Oh. I gotta guess it's not as high.
Uh-huh.
It's probably like 72.
Oh.
72
Lower.
for critics.
Lower.
63 for critics.
Lower.
Lower than 63?
Mm-hmm.
Is Rotten?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm saying that like I'm surprised. 51? 51?
You're close. You are very close. It's 54.
Oh.
Audience score is a little higher. It's
55.
at an even 60.
Okay.
But yeah, Ocean's 12 was not as well received as 11.
I
And
can clearly see why.
yeah, I can clearly see why. Ocean's 12, let's not it's not a bad movie. We won't call it a bad movie. However, I will say I have only watched Ocean's 12 3 times.
This week, as opposed to Ocean's 13, 10 times a week.
I have watched Ocean's 12 the first time. I saw 11, and then I saw 12, and then I went to the theater the next day and saw 13. That was how I saw Ocean's the franchise.
Okay.
And then I cut to, because I think Ocean's 13 came out in what year? I have it written down. It came out in 2007. Cut to 5 years later in 2012. My family wanted to do a rewatch. So we rewatched it from the beginning. Ocean's 11, 12, 13. And then last night at 2 a.m., I was like, let me rewatch 12. That's the 3 times I've seen Ocean's 12. And my opinion of it has not improved.
It's easily the worst movie of the 4 that I've seen.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I haven't seen 8, but I will give 8 the benefit of the doubt, and I won't, I already said I'm not going to trash it, but yeah, 12 is not that great. It's not a good Ocean's movie. I think just the whole feeling, they're not in Vegas either. They're in
Amsterdam.
They're doing this kind of Europe travel thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a heist really. It's more of a thief off against this guy known as Toulour, also known as the Fox.
The Night Fox.
The Night Fox. And then we have this subplot with the Night Fox, and then we have this other plot with Catherine Zeta-Jones. So they're really stuck in the middle here because they need to out thief the thief the Night Fox, and then they also need to slip away from Catherine Zeta-Jones, who wants to hunt them down and imprison all of them.
I was I was very surprised with the quality of this movie. It just went in a completely different direction. Like throughout the movie, I was looking things up. I was looking for answers because I was thinking, what? The first thing I looked up, I was thinking, all right, is this the same director? It didn't even seem like the same type of movie. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
director.
Yep.
And then I was just looking up other things like I'm gonna remember when we get to the scenes, but there was a lot of questions I was asking, like why are they doing it this way? Why did they choose this plot? Um, I could tell right off the very first scene the whole the way the whole movie is gonna be. You could immediately tell it's gonna be a lot more comedy focused with Rusty and Catherine Zeta-Jones as she was explaining. Oh yeah, we almost got the guy. We found a boot print, and one of the sides were worn down. We also
Yep.
have a strand of his hair, and then it's like showing that is his boot. He's taking off his boot, like, oh, that's me. Then
Yep.
he goes to the bathroom. He's like, yeah, we would know if he has dandruff. We will know this and that. And then you see like the Selsun Blue bottle. You see all of
Yep.
this, and it's like, oh, so that's the style of the movie they're gonna do, huh? Okay. And then yeah, it pretty much carries like that throughout the whole movie. And the comedy's not even the bad part. The comedy is fine. I wasn't laughing very much, but I was watching it by myself, so it's hard to laugh when you're by yourself.
I agree.
That's a deep line right there. Just take that. Just quote that. Um,
It's hard to laugh when you're
when
by
you're by
yourself.
yourself. But there's
Insert.
just plot points that I don't understand, and you brought one of them up. Why is there a heist competition? It's so it's so goofy. I explained this whole movie to just be goofy. It's such a goofy movie, and it's not a goofy movie. It's a
Add it to
Ocean's
the
movie.
list.
It's an Ocean's movie,
Next
but it's
week, a
goofy.
goofy movie.
A goofy movie.
An extremely goofy movie.
But I was thinking, all right, this movie probably could have been much better received if it was the first one in the franchise. Well, not necessarily switching the order, but Ocean's 11 set the standard. There was kind of a realism to it.
Yeah.
Everything was really planned out.
Yep.
They considered a lot of things about how casinos operate and things like that. And then when we get to this one, I already didn't like how they were talking about raising the level of a building. I didn't like the whole plot of having the heist competition. And that guy's only motivation was with this conversation on a boat where a guy
Yeah.
says, Danny Ocean is the best thief in the world. He's like, not on my watch. That's the whole plot. That's really the whole plot.
You want to have a swiper, no swiping voice.
That's might as well. That's might as
Well,
well how
well,
he should have said it.
he is the Night Fox. Haha.
It that's what bothered me. I'm like, this is really dumb. But
I
then
I completely like everything you're saying. Yes, that's exactly what I thought from the get-go. The whole thing that I love about heist movies is this structured planning about breaking into like a facility, a building you're stealing from. Typically, it's a bad person. Typically it's somebody who deserves it. It's somebody who, something like that. But in this case, it's Talor is just a narcissist. He's shown to be this over the top, gaudy, egotistical thief. And one guy is bragging about the Benedict job to this, like, to Talor and like this boat of people or whatever. And he's like, oh, Danny Ocean and his Ocean's 11 are the best in thieving. And Talor is like, I'm about to end this old man's career. Like, I'm gonna prove him wrong, and that's it. Like that sets the stage. I would have loved something if the plot was dealt more with them getting like if it was more Terry Benedict focused, because the whole premise, like the whole reason they need to do this thief off from the ocean side is they need to pay back Terry Benedict because he found them and he found out that it was them. And so he's extending. That's another thing I like about Terry Benedict too, is he plays by the rules of the thief, of the establisher and the con man. He gives them that chance of like, you know what? I'll let this go, but you got to pay me back my money with interest. And that's it. That's enough said. That's the gentleman's way to do it. I think that that's like in the heist movie world. If you want to keep a character like that around, that's how you handle that. He handled it with such poise. But
I gotta
I
say
would,
though, I
uh
I didn't like that part very much either.
huh. Tony, just when I think I know a guy. All right, speak your truth.
Harry Benedict is my man, my
Yes, he
role
is.
model, my inspiration. But in this movie,
Oh
he
no.
wasn't portrayed in a way that I feel like he would handle himself in the first movie. This guy, he's business. He doesn't have time. I think he would not personally go to all these countries, all these cities, and visit each and every one personally. I think he would have his right-hand man and a couple of goons and do his work for him. Or it would have been a call, a threatening call or something. I found this
Risky.
so weird that he did it individually and going, all right, you owe me money. You got 2 weeks. And then do nothing. That is a waste of his time. A man with that much money and that much responsibility, I think is such a waste of his time.
I
And
disagree.
and I think is also a little lame. It's kind of a lame plot point that they have to give him all his money back. I feel like these are the coolest thieves in history, Ocean's 11, and they're like, "Oh man, all right, gang, let's grab up as much money as we can and pay him back."
That's the art of the con. That's the rules.
I think it's like, man, these guys are so cool. They can't think of something better than to just pay him back. Like they
Well, they
did
were working on that with Matsui, and then Tallur came along.
Caroline, they pulled off the most epic heist in history. It'll go down in the history books. And then
Benedict.
now they have to put an asterisk like, and they paid all that money back. Come on, that takes the wind out of the sails. I saw it as like kind of weak.
uh-uh. I think that first of all, Terry Benedict hands down what because it's personal. This is what does he pride himself on? If he's a business guy, he's all business. That's his baby. That's what he focuses on. These people, Ocean's 11, the best thieves in the game, stole from his business, and he feels that hole. Even though the insurance company paid him back and everything, he still feels like they took something from me, and because they took something from me, I'm gonna make sure they know. Like I'm gonna like he it is personal because they made it personal. They went on his business. So yeah, I completely see why he went. Especially well, I think especially to Danny because of Tess.
Maybe
He,
only Danny. I don't know why he would go to literally everyone else. But
he didn't go to Rusty.
wouldn't you imagine it? This is how I imagine it. He has his goons and his upper level men visit everyone, give some sort of threat, and say you owe this amount of money in 2 weeks, or else you're seeing Benedict yourself.
That's not
And
threatening enough.
I didn't come up with a threat, just something threatening. And then I feel like he just wouldn't fly out to each one. I feel like he's the last boss. He's the guy you don't want to see. That's the last face you're gonna see if you see him. That's the way that I saw it. So I pictured it. The only way you would see him is if he's like sitting behind his desk, and then they have Danny Ocean in like cuffs or something, beaten up or something like that, or like anybody else in the Ocean's crew. He would not do it for every single one. I found that very strange. He's just too much of a boss level fight for me. I think
I
they would
think
bring them to him, and he'll be sitting at a table sipping wine or something, and then have them whacked. You know?
Have him whacked.
Yeah.
Oh, my Uncle Vito got whacked by one of those. I feel like, first of all, okay, just out of the movie, in a production perspective, like I said, they were all friends. They all grew close during filming. I think when Ocean's 12 was announced, they wanted to work him into the story in some way,
Oh, of
even if
course. And I think
if
that's
it
why
was
he's in
small.
Dirt Wow.
I Yeah,
I can see that.
exactly.
I can see that. Because there's really no reason for him to be in any of the sequels, even though I'm
You
glad
would
he
have
is.
Yeah, you would imagine that in 12, if when they announced an Ocean's 12 before the plot was like came out or anything, you would imagine it would be a different heist. Like they're going to work a different mark now. But I think that because they all developed such a great working relationship that they were like, we have to bring Andy Garcia back. We got to get Terry in here. And so that's why he's worked into the plot. But also, it was so effective in the beginning of the movie because like already from the get-go with Tess, and she calls Danny and she's like, a pipe bursted and the basement is filled with, he's like, hang up. And like that is already like you can tell Danny is afraid. He is zipping to Tess. Like he is, or he was getting out, right? Or no, he went to Tess. I'm trying to remember. No, he went
Yeah, he
back
was
and
casing a
he would
jewelry joint. He threw a bouquet of flowers and then
yeah,
got in the car and went to go
and he went,
fix his
and so
desk.
like he you could already tell he is scared. He is, concerned that already just the code of Terry Benedict is here, and he is unnerved. And then we see it have that same effect on the rest of the 11, where they just see his face and boom, their whole demeanor changes. And that is that effect of the boss fight, where even like when what was it, Saul, his credit card comes back and it's all cut up, and he's like, oh, like who told me I can't? He's like, your manager, Mr. Benedict. And it's like, oh, Mr. Benedict.
And he wasn't there for that.
He wasn't there for that. It was
Isn't
just the
that just as
message.
powerful? He has a presence while
It
he's
was
not there.
different. It was different. It worked well all across the board.
I think
Yeah.
he could have only been
If
present for Danny and it would have worked. And Saul's a great example of how he could have handled literally everyone else. And they could have had something affect everyone's lives and it would be like courtesy of Mr. Benedict, you know, in some
I
sort of way. And it's like,
say
oh, we're so screwed. And
I
then they
love the
call up
way he
Danny.
handled yeah, I love the way they handled Rusty's with he calls him, he's going to his car and he's like, I'm surprised you called. I thought I'd wake up dead. And he's like, oh, I'm showing restraint. How did he say it? It was something like I'm showing restraint. If I wasn't this patient, I would have gotten you on your way to work. You would have gotten into one of the 17 cars you own, and then like
And then it just blows up.
you have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was a Terry Benedict way of handling it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
So there's a couple there. There's a couple there that he just made his presence known.
Terry Benedict does what Terry Benedict will do. But let's talk about Talor. What do we think about him being the pseudo big baddie of this film? What do you think of Talor?
Uh, Pretty much a letdown.
Yeah, he's not. How do you go from Terry Benedict, the role model that you see him as? How do you go from Terry Benedict to Talor?
Not even
It
comparing him to Terry. He's just on his own, kind of
a
just
weak
a weak,
villain kind
yeah,
of character.
a weak, silly man.
When you're dealing with a heist movie and they're all thieves, it's really hard to call him like a villain, but I guess we can call him the opposite, just like he's the opposing force in this film. And I said this before already, but he is like, he has no substance. He's just very egotistical. He's narcissistic. He's in love with himself, which I synonyms for what I just said. But he does like, what was that scene where he does yoga or whatever, like those karate moves where he's moving all slow.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, Laura, we get it. All right,
which I want to
all
mention
right.
as a side note, and this is something that they fix in Ocean's 8, ironically. But I was thinking, and I wrote this down, why do these security companies set up lasers as a fun obstacle course and not literally to protect something that they're guarding? Why isn't it
I'm
just a
sure
literal wall of lasers, like a grid that literally no one could pass through?
I'm sure it is, but movies did that. Like that's a movie trope.
Yeah, it's a movie trope. I get that. I'm not bashing it for that. It's just funny that they set it up like a fun obstacle course. But in Ocean's 8, they set it up like a wall that, there's something that you
That's how
can't.
it's actually done. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say, even not comparing him to Terry, he's still not even a strong force in this movie. He's kind of just there, just another little minor issue. Well, I guess not that minor because he offers to pay the whole debt that they owe to Terry Benedict. I thought the movie could have. It was a somewhat interesting idea to have a heist competition, but I was trying to figure out before they showed me, how do they do that? Like, would Ocean's crew go in first, try to steal it, and then if they fail, then this guy, what's his name again?
Which one? The thief, the master thief?
Yeah, the master thief, quote unquote.
To lure.
Talor. Yeah, would Ocean's crew go in first and then Talor go in second if Ocean failed? Or would Talor go in first? And, I was trying to think, how are they going to present this competition idea? Like, who's going to go first? Are they going to go at the same time? Can they sabotage each other? It ended up being, I don't know, it ended up being what it was. He,
I'm gonna cut to it. This is the part I hate the most about this movie
the competition?
is not just the competition, but the tip. The whole tip that they
Oh,
got
yeah, yeah.
from was it Anthony Hopkins, right? Is that who plays?
No.
No, 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 no.
Anthony Hopkins, that's Odin.
That's right. That's right. I'm getting confused with who plays the dad.
Catherine Zeta-Jones' dad?
Catherine Zeta-Jones's dad.
I don't
Oh,
remember his
oh,
acting name.
Albert Finney. I remembered.
Oh, okay.
But that whole like the tip. I hated that because it undercuts the heist itself. It the whole point of the Ocean's formula is the planning, the perfect planning and execution and everything. The tip undercuts all of that because the tip tells them like, hey, you know what? And then that's the thing, when it comes to the reveal and you find out that they've always had the egg because they got a tip and they undercutted this guy and they stole the real egg right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't earned. That was not them figuring it out and
They didn't
planning it.
need planning. They didn't
That,
need
that, that
strategy.
wasn't anything. That was the tip coming in from Lamarck. And he's like, you know what? Here you go.
I
I
agree,
hated
but
that.
by that point, I wasn't even that invested anymore. So I'm like, oh, that's how they did it? Okay.
I was willing because I had loved 11 so much. I was in. But when they revealed the tip, all of my emotional investment for the film went away. I was in. But at that moment, I felt betrayed.
I watched this movie in two parts because I was ready to marathon the Ocean's movies.
Hmm.
If Ocean's 12 was of the quality of Ocean's 11, I would have sat through it. I had to go to work the next morning, but I would have sat through it. But I was getting tired with this plot, and I was thinking, you know what? I'm too tired to keep paying attention. I gotta leave it for the night, and I'll pick it up the next day. But yeah, I even missed the part. You could explain it to me. I even missed, how did Danny and like Casey's character, like basically half the Ocean's crew, how did they end up in that jail cell while like Julia or Tess, and Linus and the other guys, they were, she was pretending to be Julia Roberts. That was funny, by the way, too. I did like that with Bruce Willis and
Yeah.
stuff.
Looky
But
Lou with the bundle of joy.
I didn't see. I completely miss how half of the Ocean's crew got Like they were just waiting in jail pretty much when that was happening. How did they get in there? Do you remember?
So yeah, okay. Catherine Zeta-Jones works for Europol, and she's called in to investigate a theft. And what was it? Because they steal that first stock certificate, and they were beat by like the Night Fox or whatever. And so she's on that case, and she realizes that the Oceans or like Rusty is back in town or whatever, and so she's kind of on their scent. She's on their heels. And what was it? Danny, I'm looking at the Wikipedia article again, but
If you don't
it
remember,
came
it doesn't have to be step by step, just like in
it
general, what you
it
remember.
it came down to, I think Toulour at some point Toulour tipped off Catherine Zeta-Jones, and that was a little bit ungentlemanly of him. That was like a tip
He doesn't
because
follow the
he
pirate's code.
he does not follow the pirate's code, but he tipped off Catherine Zeta-Jones and gave her recordings, like film recordings of the Ocean's Crew casing, and told them like they're planning on stealing the egg and everything, and like
Mm,
basically also telling them who they are. So when the word got out, like we've been had, she already had, arrested half of the crew.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, at that point, I was thinking, I'm not gonna rewind. I'm committed. I just gotta write it out.
That's all you can do with 12. Write it
Yeah,
out.
it was just really surprising how much of a different movie it is from Ocean's 11.
I don't want to do Oceans this way, but I feel like if you're listening out there and you are wanting to check out, because we've already talked so well about 11, I feel like it's an okay recommendation that you can skip 12 and go to 13. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like I said, 12 is not a bad movie, but if you loved 11, it's very different.
I
It's
want to
not
hear someone's opinion who's started
who
off
likes
with
12.
12. Maybe they
I
just caught
know.
12 first, and they're like, "Oh, let me see the
This
rest."
is this is great. I want to watch 13.
I probably should have seen 12 first, but
Yeah, but you gotta start with 11, then you won't know who any of these characters are.
I remember like halfway through this movie thinking back, we had a conversation about this, and you kind of told me about 12, and I was thinking,
Mhm.
what did she tell me about this? Because yeah, something was up with this movie. I don't think you said it was bad, but you did say something was different about it. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember what you told me.
I think I said something along the lines of 11 and 13 feel like a very cohesive and coherent storyline, but 12 is kind of on its own on the side. And I'm trying to remember. I think I read a review about it, and the reviewer said that it tried so hard because the thing is the director Soderbergh, I keep wanting to call him like soda, like a soda pop.
Yeah, Soderbergh.
Yeah, Soderbergh, but Soderbergh, he is known for being a kind of artsy, independent filmmaker, and so he's also known for taking risks. He's one of those, like also I haven't seen any of his movies besides the Ocean's movies.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, which isn't like I love the Ocean's movies so much. Oh well, he did make like Contagion, and he made Magic Mike. I haven't seen any of them, but those
You
are
made
well-known
Magic
movies. He
Mike.
made from the makers of Ocean's 11. We bring you
From the
Magic
mind that brought
Mike.
you Ocean's 11.
From the the mind that brought you Caroline's one of her favorite franchises. We bring you Magic Mike.
Your Netflix or your HBO Max after you're done watching Oceans, it says, "We recommend or we think you'd like Magic Mike."
Magic Mike. No,
That's your dude right there, Caroline.
no, it's not.
Soderbergh?
I
That's your
only
dude.
like. I only like. I only like the Ocean's movies.
Did he do Logan Lucky? I thought that
Yeah,
was
he
another
did.
heist movie that people liked.
I haven't seen Logan Lucky. But
I haven't
oh, it
seen
says
it.
he makes a reference to oceans in that movie.
Oh,
Huh.
it's probably part
I
of the
might
Ocean's
I might have to
universe.
I might have to catch that one now. But in his kind of Wikipedia article, it mentions that he likes to experiment with his own style. And he was quoted saying that he likes to reject mainstream film standards. But basically, what he likes to do is if he's had a successful film, he likes to change it. Like he likes to remix it and twist it. And that's exactly what he did with 12. He
Ah, so he went to Ryan Johnson's school of cinematography?
that he did. That he did.
No, I'm kidding. I actually respect that. I like that he said that. But
Yeah.
it doesn't always pay off. That's the thing. But you gotta respect that he
You gotta
tried it.
respect it that he didn't copy
That's
a
what James
formula.
Wan did with *Malignant*.
Yeah, that's the thing where you'll have these widely successful films like Marvel, but then you'll get people who, and it's a thing, the Marvel formula, where they have to be like in this kind of three-act structure, have to include these certain things, and they're widely successful films, but they are repetitive.
They
But
are a
then
formula. They'll be a guaranteed better than okay movie.
Exactly, exactly. But then you get something that's like 11, Ocean's 11, and it's this like, wow, this is a great movie. It's its own thing. The director, he doesn't want to copy that because that's something he made. That's
It's
already
been
a
done.
success. It's been done. What can he do to change it a bit? How can he twist it? How can he, put a little spin on it? What can he do that's fresh with it? And it didn't work. So that, you can respect the attempt.
And I do. I do.
So
But that's the
Ocean's
thing, it doesn't
12,
always pay off.
exactly. We give it a respectful acknowledgement of his existence, but it's not a
I
rewatchable
give it a
film.
respectful 53 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's 54 on Rotten Tomatoes, but yeah.
54 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I will also give it a respectful 54 on Rotten Tomatoes.
But
I'm trying
yeah,
to
I
I'm
don't know
looking
what
through
else
any of
you.
the what's it called? The trivia, trying to find anything that's kind of neat in here. Oh, another thing about Soderbergh, he insisted the film have the exact same budget as Ocean's 11.
Not a dollar more or
Not a
less.
dollar more. It does kind of go into that talk that we just had about he wanted to try something and remix it. So he knows what works, and now he's like, what can I do that's different with it? So I respect this guy.
So before we move on to Ocean's 13, the last little things I wanted to mention, I remember they were dressing up Tess to look like Julia Roberts.
Uh-huh.
And then they were saying that everything with that was really great. But I like when they were in the car and they're telling her, "Oh, you kind of have to have like this southern accent because she has like this southern accent." And Don Cheadle, his character, he's like, "You got to work on the accent because they'll notice that." He's like, "They'll notice the accent first," and he's a character doing a very
A
heavy
very
accent.
exaggerated
Yeah,
British accent.
I love that.
I love
I
all the
love that.
call outs to real life in that movie too. They're trying to guess George Clooney's age, and that was actually
Oh, that's
based
one thing
off.
I looked up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was something that actually happened on set while they were all like these guys were all used to hanging out too. Like since 11, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to go chill like by the lake over here or whatever." And that was a conversation that happened off set, and they told Soderbergh about it, and he thought it was so entertaining that he put it in the film.
Oh, so that's probably like the real guesses in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Was Don Cheadle's name Basher or
Basher.
Basher? Yeah, I love
Uh-huh.
how Danny goes up to him. He's like, "Do I look 50?" He's like, "Yeah." He didn't
Yeah.
hesitate. He didn't think about his his feelings. He's like, "Yeah." And
George
then
Clooney's got that permanent silver fox look. It's just his thing.
he rocks it.
Oh
He
yeah, he
rocks
does.
it.
You want to know? Do you know how old he actually was during filming?
I forgot. Wasn't it like 42 or
Is that your guess?
yeah, 42.
He was 45.
Oh, 45. Okay.
Yeah.
He what? Huh, okay. Nah, yeah, he's got nothing to worry about.
He's
I'm
got
sure he
nothing to
isn't
worry about.
worried.
He looks great.
Yeah. Even with a cast of other ridiculously handsome men, he still stands out.
Oh yeah, even next to Brad Pitt, I still like. I don't know if I'll get some heat from this from my fellow women, but I think George Clooney
Ladies,
is
listen
more
up.
handsome. I think George Clooney is more handsome than Brad Pitt. I
It's that
like him.
haircut that was knocking him down.
Ah, it really was. But Clooney's just got that suavity, that suaveness,
Suavity?
and
Is that a new word?
suavity. He's got
What's the
that
suavity scale for Clooney?
suavity. Suavity for Clooney is like 11 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Get
I
it?
can't argue
11.
with that.
Ah.
He did bring in that Bruce Wayne
Oh yeah.
aura.
Oh
Mm,
yeah. I
yeah.
see now why he was casted as Batman.
Yeah.
I kind of wish he played Batman more than just Batman and
Yeah, me
Robin.
too. But now with all these multiverses and stuff, I hope they
Uh,
bring him back somehow. They got
they
Keaton,
got
so
they did. Well, right. Let's give our Pat a chance. You know, we'll see how that is. But
oh, I'm not giving him a chance. I'm rooting for him completely.
I'm so
Since
glad
the
you said
day he
that.
was announced, I knew he was gonna be awesome.
Yes,
Awesome. So
100%.
anyway,
Is there
but
any other thing you want to talk about for 12?
no,
Because
that's
once
it.
we
Just
get into
I I didn't like the motivations. I felt like the motivations were weak, and yeah, it's just it was different. It was different. I'm glad it was different, but didn't like it very much. So
mhm,
in my
mhm.
rankings is last.
Yeah. I don't want to dog on 8. 8 is not in my rankings at all. But this is last out of the 3. So
So let's
we're in
do
13.
Ocean's 13.
Tony,
Hot off the heels of
Tony,
Ocean's
this
13.
is one of my favorite movies of all time.
All right, Caroline, I hope you're sitting down because I have
Oh, I
something to say.
am.
No, I'm
Are
kidding. It's
we
not that
are we
serious.
gonna is this gonna be our last episode? This is gonna be where our friendship
We only
ends.
make it up to 6.
We only made it up to 6, technically 7 because we have episode 0, but
Yeah, that's what confuses me.
this is what makes us lose count is
It's
episode
right.
0.
This is episode 6. Okay. No, yeah, no, it's not that serious. You already
Okay,
know my numero uno is Ocean's 11,
that's perfectly valid.
and Ocean's 13. So we were watching this together. This is the
Mhm.
one Ocean's movie we saw
Yes,
together,
together.
and I wanted a little bit of Ocean's 11. I did what Ocean's 11 did right is that we were in on it. They told us the plan and we were along for the ride, and what they did right is that we also got a little twist. Like there were some things that we didn't see coming. There's some part of the plans that they didn't completely tell us about. Ocean's 13 on first viewing, and like we were saying, it gets better on multiple viewings. But the beginning, the setup feels like a lot of strings of random setup scenes that I don't know what's going on until it actually starts happening. So it's not as fun to watch as Ocean's 11 when I was watching it the first time, because I'm just thinking, and I told you, I'm like, wait, I don't know what they're building up to. What are they building up to? Like, are they just gonna gamble all this money, try to win all the money? What's the plan here? But as we know, this was another deliberate choice to have it different and not be a copy of just Ocean's 11 again. So I can respect that. But I wish I was in on it, honestly. I wish I was in on it, and I wish they could have, caught me off guard in a couple places, but I wasn't keeping up completely in the first half or the first act, I would say, of the movie.
I feel that. When I first saw it in theaters, I definitely felt that way. My mom, I guess she's like big brain, because, well, she kind of is, but she was picking up everything in the theaters, and I was wee lamb that was like, wait, what? What's going on? What's happening? What does that mean? And then when it came out on DVD, we bought it on DVD, and I rewatched it, and it like the final puzzle piece. was rewatching it for me. And that is where my like 13 obsession came from, was rewatching it. So I see your point. Yeah, it can be a little bit strange on the first watch because the movie, in my opinion, Ocean's 13 takes everything about 11 that's it takes a lot of concept from 11 that's good and then adds a twist on those same concepts. So it's not something like out of left field like the way 12 did. 12 decided to go to a totally new location and try to start something different there.
That's
13
a
is
good
like
call out. Yeah, we're back in Vegas. We're back in the
we're
casino.
we're back in Vegas, we're
Yeah.
back in a casino, we're dealing with another, casino owner,
Who again
but
doesn't go to Terry because that's too good.
that's too good.
Too good of a character. But
So
still a fine antagonist though.
it's like we're returning to the roots, but it's going to be a little bit different. Also, this isn't personal in the sense of like one of the things I do like about this premise though, we talked about how like the Tess and Danny was a little bit I love the premise for this movie. Like the whole reason they're doing this. It's not because of like a scorned lover kind of thing or you're dating my girl. It's you messed with one of us. So now we're going to make sure you pay kind of thing. And I love that. That whole I do like how they handled it. Like with Willie Bank, they give him the Billy Martin, which is like a pass. So like we won't hit you or we won't come after you if you agree to make Ruben whole. And he's like if it's a Billy Martin, well I pass on it. I'm not doing it. It's like telling Danny like I'm not afraid of you. You're not going to come after me. You're not going to take me down in any way. I am this like I own the most valuable property on the strip and you know, if you do come after me, I'm going to go after you and it's going to be a lot worse than what you do to me. So Willie Bank is just not impressed with these guys. He's set up to be he is like the real villain, I guess. He's a
He's
way
more villainy.
worse.
Yeah.
He is the villain. Terry Benedict, you can sympathize and you
That's
can
a
see
fine man.
he's a fine man.
That's a
You can see
stand-up guy
his
right there. Who I strive to be.
you can see like you don't fully want this guy to lose everything, but Willie Bank, oh yeah, you're rooting for him to go down. Willie Bank is ruthless, he's heartless, he has no loyalty. He shook Sinatra's hand and he still acts the way he acts. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, he's
And
definitely more villainy. Like you said, no honor. So this is definitely a much easier guy to root against and to enjoy once they get him.
exactly. And then it's not just about like we're going to rob the vault because even I think it said early on in 11 like even if we take cuz he was like won't Terry come after us and Danny says something like oh Terry won't feel it because the insurance is going to cover him. Like no. So they're not even really they're going for like the pride points. They just want Terry to know they can steal from his vault because that money is going to come back to him from the insurance. He's not going to lose anything monetary wise. But with Willie Bank, they want to ruin him. They're going to take him for everything from the money in his casino, his reputation as a hotel owner, his personal pride with those diamonds. They want to take everything from him.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even consider that either. I mean, I knew that's what the difference was, but I didn't think about it until you just pointed that out. That yeah, Terry would get his money back, but it's almost like we can do this to your casino. And then yeah, for banks, it's just we're taking you down. Yeah, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
Exactly. And isn't that just the most inspiring kind of thing? You
I like the
homeboys.
motivation too, much better. I thought the motivation in one was perfectly fine as well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay.
two, obviously we went over that. I felt like they were weak,
Uh,
but
uh,
you know what I did want from this one though, from Ocean's 13? I
hmm.
did want it to be a little bit more expanded on. I don't I don't think it was rushed, but I'm comparing it to Ocean's 11 again because I feel like it was really
It's
just a
fast.
solid movie. No, not like if they took a lot of time to build up, but it didn't feel slow. But the buildup was really spread out. I felt like they really took time to slow down and even show like, all right, Danny, he wants to steal a lot of money, or does he? Is he in it for another reason? And then later
Right.
you eventually find out, oh, it's his wife or ex-wife. Okay, this got personal. And you don't find that out until maybe 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in. In Ocean's 13, it's immediate. Bam. It's like, all right, he messed with us. He messed with one of our guys. We're getting him back. Boom. But I don't have an idea of how they can really expand upon that. I just like a little suggestion to a master director. I would say I would have wanted a little bit more time to like build up to that. Build up to why Ruben is, or like, yeah, I guess show him in partnership with Willie Banks. Like show a little bit of that. Show him like trusting him a little bit more, show him being a little bit more um loyal to him and being partners, and then show the betrayal. I just came up with that off the top of my head. It could be, something better, but just something like that I would have wanted.
I do see what you mean, but I think that that's something the director was purposefully avoiding because he already did that in 11. And he's the kind of guy that doesn't want to fully repeat his own formula.
What, a betrayal?
Well, like the whole concept of like what you were talking about when it comes to the themes of like, oh, we're doing it for this, but then like lengthening out why, like the real motive behind this. I think he was like, you know what, we're gonna do it this way, but I'm gonna tell them right off the bat why they're doing this.
Well, this time it wouldn't have been a secret. We just got to see. Well, this is my made up idea for it, but we would have gotten to see how Ruben trusted this guy so much to even sign on with him.
I think the part that was drawn out was if Ruben would recover or not, because he's shown pretty incapacitated. The Ocean's crew is operating without one of their key players for a while.
That's true. For some reason, I never
And
doubted that he would recover, but that's true. That is a
and
concern.
something that is not really touched upon in 13, but like they I feel like they hit a little bit more snags in 13 in comparison to 11. 11 was so masterfully planned out. It's because Ruben does a lot of the planning. He's always talking with them about like this is who you should talk to, this is who you should go to, and he's not part of that this time around. He was taken out. So like that's even like they were like, okay, well let's get this drill and let's do this and let's send him to Mexico and do that. And we hit a lot of I feel like we hit a little bit more snags in 13 because Ruben is not in the planning.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I'm
So
thinking about it now.
it takes its own it takes its own stance in that it separates itself as it's similar to 11, but because of this dynamic that's changed, one of the 11 has been incapacitated, so they need to make do without him. And it also shows how well they work together as a unit, how everybody on this team is valuable, and you take one out and they don't function the same way that they would have, how they worked so pristinely in 11. And you take one out and the whole group they work, but something does feel like it's missing, or something is not going to always go according to plan. They did a lot of audibles. They did a lot of like, oh, this happened, now we got to fix it, this happened, now we got to fix it in 13, because someone like Saul is not involved. So it makes you think, what if it wasn't, I'm sorry, not Saul, I keep getting the old men confused in my mind because my brain is going faster than
You're
my
being
mouth.
ageist.
Well, my mouth is going faster than my brain because I'm not catching up. I need to like slow down. But Ruben is
You should
part of that
slow down
huge.
like I'm recommending, right? No.
But Ruben is such a huge part of that planning process, and then it makes you think, what would have happened if it was Basher, or one of the brothers. And now it's like, okay, well, we can't go down that avenue of this because we don't have our specialist for that. And in this case, though, it takes place in the planning perspective. So we see that Danny and Rusty are great planners, but Ruben brings that invaluable experience and tells them, like, oh, you know what? Contact this guy. I have this connection. Let's do that. So that's one of the interesting things that Ocean's 13, it makes it so unique. And then when Ruben does eventually come back and he's like, "Hi boys," and they're like, "Hey,
You
Ruben."
got the
Like that
glasses back, you back
that
to
to me is such a happy scene
yeah.
when they're all, you can hear the joy in all of their voices when Ruben is back on the floor and they're so happy, so excited. It's so good. You
That
don't
was a
mess with
good moment.
family. You don't mess with family.
Everyone said hi over the they
They're
earpieces.
yeah,
They're yeah,
their microphone chat, their
yeah,
Discord call.
yeah. Their Zoom meeting.
Everybody turned on cameras, unmute mics for Ruben.
But yeah, a lot of this movie was obviously much better than Ocean's 12.
Oh yeah.
My only complaint is really that I wish they brought me along for the ride. And I brought Tenet up as a joke, but that's because it's a good example because in Tenet, this is a whole movie. The whole movie, I felt like, all right, Christopher, so you don't want me to know what's going on. You never want me to know what's going on. You want me confused.
Even
Eh,
after the movie, he didn't explain anything.
Yeah,
Like even when we were at the conclusion or the climax or whatever of the film, he never explained anything.
yeah. It's like you think you're smart because you're not telling me, but that's not smart. All right. And then in this movie, it's just a setup. That's fine. But yeah, I was just thinking, I want to know. I want to know what they're doing and why they're doing it. And you can piece things together. Obviously, you see them, tinkering with things and setting things up, setting up the shuffling machines for the cards and rigging the dice and things like that. So you can assume some shenanigans are gonna happen. But I wanted to know, and I was telling you, I wanted to know what's the main thing? What are they gonna attack? And I guess you couldn't answer that because there is no main thing. In Ocean's 11, it's the vault. We're getting into
Yeah.
the vault, and that's all you have to know. And then they could pull these twists on you, like, oh, how are they gonna pull it out? The SWAT truck, or how are they gonna do this? They're gonna have the key beforehand. They're gonna do these switches, blah blah blah. But here, I couldn't get my answer because there was no one direct answer. But I wanted that. I wanted the, are we breaking into a vault? Are we stealing a necklace? Are we stealing a golden egg? What are we doing?
Yeah.
But it was a
That
little bit more complicated to that than that.
that's another part that's different about 13 from the rest. And like every clearly every movie in the Oceans franchise has a different mark, but 13 talks to Soderbergh's formula remixing in that he didn't want it to be one thing. They were going after Willie Bank and what Willie Bank thought was important: his money, his image, and his pride. And they, like, I think Danny says it, and when they're talking to Roman Nagel during that planning process in the apartment, and they're talking with him, just them, like Danny, Rusty, and Roman. He's like, "You're gonna do all that all in one night," and Danny's like, "All in one night." And that's already kind of a clue that they just want to do as much damage as they can in one night. And that was kind of just that was the thing. But yeah, it wasn't like we're gonna steal this one thing. It was like we're gonna rig all of these things to go off simultaneously. And it culminates in that 3.5 minutes when their security system shuts down. That's when everything executes. Like all of those rigged machines, all of the like, and then like that's even when Linus is installing that thing for the diamonds to steal the diamonds, like everything.
Yeah, that was great, and that was a great night for all those gamblers.
Oh yeah. There are people winning six figures in that casino. It's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was confused for a second because when the first lady won the jackpot of 30 mil, I thought, dang, that's it. They wiped them out. But I forgot they carry a lot more than that.
The
So
casino has to carry the money to where if all the chips were to be cashed out that day, they could cover it. So
gotcha. So they
that's how
covered it.
much they could cover it. That was like the whole point is when a casino has to have the money to back up the chips that are being distributed.
If I was any one of those people, as soon as I made one win, I would stop right there.
I would have left as soon as I made like $40. I would be
Yeah,
like,
like, all
"That's
right,
it.
I'm up.
I'm
I'm
up.
up. I'm
That's it.
catching
I'm
now.
I'm done. That's it." Like not even like I'm up. If I were to put a coin into anything and lose even $5, I'm done. I'm not losing anymore. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a gambling man, but if I were, I'll be a budgeted gambling man. I'll go into Vegas with $10, and if I lose the $10, that's it. I'm out.
Never going back to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm done.
I would go to Vegas for their all-you-can-eat buffets. I hear those breakfast buffets are pretty good. That's it.
While you were there, did you?
I think we went. No, we went to an Olive Garden.
Oh, that's good enough.
Yeah, I
All
like
you can
Olive
eat
Garden.
bread.
That's true. All you can eat bread and salad.
Yeah,
And I got some fettuccine.
and the
Even though
salad is good.
even though I know my friends are gonna criticize me and be like, Olive Garden is not a real Italian restaurant. Well, it is to me. I like Olive Garden.
We don't want real Italian when we go to Olive Garden.
I
We
know
want
it's not
bread.
real Italian. That's why I'm going to Olive Garden. I just want decent fettuccine Alfredo and my breadsticks.
I want a steak gorgonzola, but that has been
What is
removed from
that?
the menu.
What is that?
A steak gorgonzola. It was
I'm
delicious.
Googling this
Yeah,
steak
Google it. It's not on the
gorgonzola.
menu anymore. I went
Oh,
recently.
I see it. It's like
Yeah.
number one, steak gorgonzola Olive Garden discontinued.
Yeah, it was a sad day for me. I was scanning every single item on the list.
Oh my goodness, this looks delicious.
It was
What?
delicious. It was delicious. It's like what is like steak and Alfredo sauce with
Yeah, it's a steak.
spaghetti.
It's so my favorite dish there is just the fettuccine Alfredo. This is fettuccine Alfredo with meat.
Yeah, so
Oh my God. I'm
that
gonna
fills
make
you up
this.
real good.
I'm gonna add this to
Real
the
good.
menu for when you come down here. We're gonna make this. You're gonna help me make the noodles.
You're not gonna make it just regular chicken and vegetables?
Don't you want steak gorgonzola, Tony? Huh? How bad you want to?
But you can't get that quality fake Italian that we get from Olive Garden, you know?
Tony, I'm not even Italian. This is already gonna be fake Italian by me making it.
You're right. It has to be that fake, and that fakeness really adds to the flavor.
Oh my God. I just want to point out
Huh?
if you Google, like I said, steak gorgonzola Olive Garden discontinued was number one. The number one result is an article from a blog post that says man's heart is broken over loss of Olive Garden dish.
Do you see a picture of me?
You can sign the petition to get steak gorgonzola back on the menu.
All right, link me the change.org petition and let's continue on with this Ocean's discussion.
We take a break from this gorgonzola talk to go back to Ocean's
For
13,
all of you who didn't get to experience a steak gorgonzola,
like
my
myself.
heart goes out to you because this thing was delicious, fulfilling, and the best thing you could get outside of Italy.
Do you want to guess the Rotten Tomato score for Ocean's 13?
Oh, now this is interesting.
Yeah.
I already know it's not better than the first one.
That will be correct.
So I'll say, so the first one got 83, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say 78. 78 for critics.
You're overshooting it a little bit.
76.
It's 69.
Oh, that was it a little bit. I was off by almost 10.
I know. So when you were going down, not that much, I thought maybe I didn't say it correctly. But yeah, it's 69.
Okay,
And
and the fans, they have to like it more than critics, right, Caroline?
you want me to confirm that?
They have to like it more than critics. Yes.
Yes, yeah, they
All right.
do like it more than critics.
All right, so 75.
Yeah, it's 75. Perfect.
Ooh, I got 2.
You got
I got 2 right.
two. You're getting good at this.
Yeah. Yeah, you know
I
what? Oh, yeah,
I
go
do
ahead.
want to point out it's only a 5% difference between 13 and 11 from the audience score.
Mhm.
It's 80 and 75, so that shows me that people who loved 11 loved this movie. It was in the same vein. And I think it's, as a personal fan, I concur. Like, I love 11 and I love 13.
So, I was gonna say, we just found out Soderbergh's, mindset on this, but I'm totally okay with franchises that copy their own formula. And I'm not talking about Marvel. I'm talking about like Back to the Future has done this. They say some of the same jokes, they repeat some of the same scenes, but just like in different time periods. And it's done well because they're aware of it and it's done on purpose and everybody likes it. I'm also thinking of like Austin Powers. All of the Austin Power movies have the
Oh,
same jokes, but yeah, told slightly different.
Rush
And
Hour.
Rush Hour, yeah, just the jokes in reverse. I am a big fan of that. If it's done well and they're aware of it, and if it's done on purpose, I really love it.
I agree.
And watching Oceans, I thought that's what it was gonna be,
Yeah,
and I was ready for that. So I guess that's why it kind of threw me off going into 12, and then 12 set the standard of like, okay, don't expect things to be the same all the time. But there are some things that they carry over, and really the biggest one is that they all have a deeper motivation than just money.
yeah.
And I think that's a good one to carry over. That's pretty important. So,
There's also like
oh
little
yeah,
tropes here and there, like Danny and Rusty finishing each other's sentences, and Rusty always eating.
yeah,
That's
always snacking on
consistent.
something. Yeah,
He's either finished eating, about to eat, or currently eating. That's all. That's how we always see Rusty.
that's how I want to live my life.
That's how I currently live my life. What do you mean? Gotta get on my level.
I just have one huge meal and then go to sleep. So it's pretty hard to keep eating when
I've
you're asleep.
I've been doing that for the past week with finals mode. I'll wake up, have my coffee with like a slice of bread or toast, really, and then I'll work on whatever homework I have to do that day. And then my dad knocks on my door at like 6 o'clock and he's like, dinner's ready. And then I eat a bunch from dinner, go back to work, and then I knock out.
I
And
like that lifestyle as well. It's pretty
I miss,
relaxing.
I miss food. I miss food so much. I'm hungry.
I just need one pub sub and I'm knocked out.
Tony,
Yeah.
you better get ready to eat, boy. There are some trivia in this movie that I
Okay.
really want to bring up, and I think it's pretty funny.
Let's hear it. I was ready to
So,
move on, but I want to know this now.
so first, the scene where Linus is telling them about the Greco, and he's in that car. He's like, "The specs aren't on the black market, the gray market, or any other market." You know that scene?
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm pretty sure I'm being followed." He was currently filming The Bourne Identity, and that shot is on the set of The Bourne Identity.
Really?
And so he was double booked in a way. So he was currently filming The Bourne Identity while this movie was in early production. They shot that scene. That's even also why it's kind of blue. Do you remember that when you saw
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It's shot kind of like it's in the Bourne movie. And what's it called? So I think it's the Bourne Ultimatum because this is already like this wasn't the first
That would
movie.
be the
This is
third one.
yeah,
The
this would be
third
the
one.
third. So this was one of the Bourne movies, but it was yeah. And what was it? So that scene was shot on the Bourne set. So that's one little piece of trivia I thought that was pretty neat. And then,
It'll be
you
really
know,
cool if that same scene was used in both movies, and they both
oh,
collaborate, and they're like, "Alright, this is vague enough to fit in this movie and this movie.
yeah.
Let's use
I need
it."
to rewatch The Ultimatum to see that, see if that's used.
Yeah.
Another one is this also relates to the Bourne movies. You know how when Linus has to seduce Abigail Sponder,
Yeah.
and they say like, "Oh, give him an accelerator and fly in a Gilroy." So the Gilroy is an in joke. The director of the three Bourne movies, Bourne Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum, his name is Tony Gilroy. And they called it the Gilroy because they felt that Tony Gilroy had the ability to make Matt Damon look cool in movies. And he's also the guy that put the Matt Damon cool factor on the map.
Oh,
So
that's true, that's true.
when they're saying like fly in a Gilroy, they're referencing like make him appear as cool as he is in the Bourne movies.
That's interesting because I know him from Born First, so he was already a cool guy in my eyes.
Yeah,
And then when
yeah.
I see this, I'm like, "Oh, alright, he's playing, like, the more timid guy now. Interesting."
Yeah. So these movies came out kind of in concession. So the 11 and the Bourne movies came out close together. So he's simultaneously playing these roles. So in 13, that's kind of how they reference that is the flying a Gilroy. That's a little in joke to the director and how he's making to be look cool in another. Um,
And then
I'm trying.
Soderbergh is trying his best to make him look as lame as possible and gave him a huge nose in Ocean's 13
Oh, Soderbergh is like,
and gave
I
him a
know
terrible haircut.
you play this super cool character in Gilroy's movies. You're gonna be the opposite. We're gonna get this super hair gel and this prosthetic nose for you to wear.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the most unattractive man in this movie.
Mission accomplished.
I
What else is
think
on there?
this wasn't one that was on the IMDb, but I thought I read it somewhere. Al Pacino kept falling asleep on set,
Oh, that's
which is
awesome.
funny because I think in the most recent, not the most recent, but the Academy Awards for last year during 2020, he fell asleep while the Academy Awards were going on. Like they were doing a Zoom call for the Academy Awards and they were like panning all of these stars on their Zoom cameras. And when it got to Al Pacino's, he was knocked out.
I
But
gotta see that.
I'll send you the clip afterwards. But
I love
yeah,
that.
they panned to him and he's passed out. And so there was like I think one of the actors commented that because like I said, they were all friends. And when they tried to get close to Pacino, he kept falling asleep.
I love hearing those kind of stories about actors when because I love the parallels of they're great actors in the movies, and then outside is like they just couldn't care less about what they did. Um, so yeah, pretty much like everyone in Marvel who have you seen those interviews where they would ask like Josh Brolin, they're like, "Can you name all six Infinity Stones?" He's like, "No,"
No. Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
supposed to learn it for the script.
I
So
love that.
I love hearing Al Pacino just like knocking out mid
He went to
movie
his
and
trailer, just crashed.
yeah, I love that so much because it just shows that they're great actors, you know, and they don't have to know every little thing about their own movies. Just recently today, I saw I don't know if you saw this, but I saw a screenshot of I guess Gwyneth Paltrow was doing like she opened up her I don't know Instagram or whatever to questions, and then somebody asked her, "Have you started watching the Hawkeye series?" And she's like, "No, what's that?"
Gwyneth.
And this is on top of the other things that she said. Remember when she
That
was on
was
the chef show?
oh yeah, and like she hadn't even seen which one was it?
Spider-Man? Like she didn't even know she was in Spider-Man,
She
I
didn't
think.
even know
Or
she
the
was
other
in.
way around. And yeah, John Favreau's like, "You don't remember at the end of Spider-Man?" She's like, "No, that was Avengers." Like,
Oh
"No."
yeah.
It was at the end of Spider-Man. She's like, "No."
That just reminds me of like Daisy Ridley when she was doing the press tour for Rise of Skywalker and they were like, "What's your favorite Star Wars film?" And she's like, "I haven't seen any."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was like, "Yeah, Daisy, tell him."
And of course, Harrison Ford, like the OG, I don't
Oh
care
my
about any of
gosh.
this.
He's the original. He's classic.
Yeah.
He does not care about any of it.
I love that. It doesn't affect their work. It doesn't affect their work. They're still great actors. So
Al Pacino took plenty of naps during Ocean's
yeah, at
13.
least send me like no, you gotta send me the video. I want to see the pan over.
It's
I
so
gotta see the
good.
pan over to him getting knocked out.
It's so good. I don't want to hype it up too much, but I was dying when I saw it. It's so good.
That's awesome.
I think just the last thing I wanted to touch on, we talked about how grainy these films are, and we like that. We like
Hmm.
the graininess. That's because this movie was shot entirely on film. Uh,
Yeah,
it wasn't filmed on a digital camera. It was shot entirely on film, like traditional movie camera with film.
I think Christopher Nolan still does that, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, Tenet looked pretty polished, but this movie, like in the three Oceans movies, which I feel it gives it that feel of Oceans, is the
Hmm.
grainy, like that on film effect. But yeah, that was a tidbit I loved. I wanted to mention that because I know that's something we love on this
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
We love the graininess.
I'm not a modern movie hater. I guess
Yeah, yeah. I'm
we've
not a
just been
modern movie
watching a
hater.
lot of older movies, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate the graininess a lot.
Yeah.
But okay, I want you to give me your rundown summary of Ocean's 8 while I
Ocean's
look up the
8.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. I'll be interested in seeing that actually. Very interested because this is the controversial one. So going into watching Ocean's 8, I couldn't avoid that mindset of like, all right, this is the odd one out. You know, this is the all-female reboot. Well, not really reboot, but you know, this is the all-female one. This is, it had a lot going against it. We already did a little summary, so I'm just gonna jump into some of these things. So it is with, I don't remember her name being Debbie.
Debbie Ocean.
It is Debbie Ocean?
Yep.
Huh. All right. I guess because all these actresses are like super big names, and I
Oh
just,
yeah. These I'll tell you what, they definitely did A plus with the casting. These are huge names, just like
yeah.
the way they did with 11 at the time. Those were huge names.
So it's Sandra Bullock playing Debbie Ocean, and right off the bat, she's being interviewed in a prison, just like Ocean's 11. So you already can tell, all right, they're kind of starting off with callbacks. And yeah, she's able to talk herself into a parole. I guess she was like near the end of her time she had to do. And then once she gets out of prison, they immediately start showing scenes of her doing thievery. So she grabs a whole bunch of like jewelry and perfume and nail polish and things like that from a really high-end jewelry store in New York. And yeah, she brings it to the cashier. She says, "I want to return this. I didn't even open it. I just don't want it." And they're like, oh, do you have your receipt?" She says she doesn't have it. And then they say, "We can't take it back." And she's like, "All right, fine. I'll just take it, but can I at least get a bag?" They give her a bag. Bam, she walks out with it. A whole bunch of expensive jewelry and stuff. And then she manages to con her way into a hotel room just by like eavesdropping into a couple that were checking out. She listens out for their name. She calls the front desk and then she says, "Hey, this is Mrs. Whatever." She says her name and she says, "Actually, our flight got canceled. Can I reopen up that room? Could we stay back in there?" Blah blah blah. They say yes. So basically, the point is they're really showing that she is a thief, a con artist. She has a mind for that, and it runs in the family. So keeping that in mind, I felt like this movie had an uphill battle. Unfortunately, because I had the mindset like, all right, this is the ugly duckling. You got to prove yourself. So I was thinking, all right, I think they're laying it on a little too thick. They really want to show us she's good at thievery. She's just like Danny. She's really good. Even though, so to make the first comparison, you don't really see Danny doing things like that really outside of the main heists.
Yep.
You don't really see him pickpocketing all that much
He's
or
not a pickpocketer. He's a heist man.
yeah. So that's what they do here multiple times. So right off the bat I was thinking, all right, you're really trying to get a point across and I think you're trying too hard. Because then the next person we see is Kate Blanchett and her name is Lou in the movie. And she's running this nightclub and she has a whole bunch of girls working for her and they're watering down vodka bottles so that they could get more vodka, for a cheaper price or whatever. And then she says something like, she makes them take a sip and she's like, "What's it taste like?" And they're like, "Vodka." And she says, "All right, you have to add more water because it needs to taste like water and vodka." And she said, "Remember what I told you?" They're like, "When you're drunk, it just tastes like vodka." Perfect. So they're trying to establish, okay, I guess she's into like conning people too, even though to me, she seemed more like Mr. Krabs trying to stretch a
Yeah.
dollar.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like any smart heist thing to do. Um, but
I
yeah,
do
they're
remember that scene from when I saw the first half.
yeah, so they're showing, that's how they introduce her. And then they meet
Mhm.
up because Debbie is the Danny of the movie, and then Lou is the Rusty of the movie. They have a good bond. Lou is the one who picks her up from the prison, gets her life back on track, quote unquote. And then Debbie tells her about the heist that she wants to pull. And I gotta say right at the front, this movie did start winning me over. I'm gonna explain why. But the first reason is this really is they really did do like the Back to the Future Gold Member Rush Hour treatment. They were hitting the original beats of Ocean's 11, but in their own way. So Sandra Bullock, she has an idea to steal a necklace. She doesn't really tell Kate Blanchett why. She just tells her, "Oh, because we could do it, and it's a lot of money, and we need these people to do it." And then it isn't until later that you find out um, her ex-boyfriend that she had before she went to prison. He was like this fancy art collector, and he had a museum. And when they met, Sandra Bullock or Debbie met him at the museum. They got to know each other, they started dating, whatever, and then eventually he brought her into his con of kind of like upselling his paintings to these rich people. So they would come in,
Okay.
they see a painting and they're like, "Oh, this looks very nice. I'll buy it for however many thousands of dollars that they'll buy it for." And then Debbie comes in and she's like, "Ooh, I would like that for $500,000." And they're like, "Oh, hold on, I'll pay you 600." Whatever. I'm throwing out random numbers, but that was the idea. And she
Yeah.
was in on this for a while. And it wasn't until their last con that they did. And I'm a little iffy on the details, but this time it was like a really expensive painting. Probably like their biggest one that they've had to sell. But this time they did it under Debbie's name. For some reason, he got her to sign under her name to do this sale. But it turns out that they were undercover cops and they busted her. They busted their whole operation. And then they take them both to interrogate them. And Debbie, she's holding out. She's not talking at all. She ain't no snitch. But then when it cuts to the other guy, he's telling him everything. He's just giving her away, and he throws her under the bus, and she goes to prison, and he walks away scot free. And it was intentionally his plan to do that. I don't remember why. I guess he's just a jerk, or wanted her out of the picture. I'm not sure, but that's the motivation: is revenge. She wants to get back at him, and she wants to frame him. So she wants to steal this necklace, and she wants to make it look like he did it. So I already like that motivation, and I already like how it's a callback to the original Ocean's idea that it's not just about money, it's about something personal. And they deliver on that. So I don't know how far you got into the movie, but do you remember any of that? And what do you like? I mean, do you like that idea or do you remember that? What do you think about that?
I will tell you, you are piquing my interest to finish this movie. I think I stopped pretty early on.
How
I
far, like,
think
what's one of the last scenes you remember watching?
the last scene I remember is when Lou was telling her about the girls they needed to recruit. I think that's where I stopped. When
Oh,
they were
okay.
doing like the pseudo introductions.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a little early on, but basically, yeah, like I was saying, it is kind of like a beat for beat, almost like a reboot of Ocean's 11. And yeah, so they have to look for the girls, right? They're having this meeting at a coffee table. And and yeah, Lou, she's like, "So how are we gonna do this? We need like millions of dollars and like 30 people to actually pull this off because the whole plan is uh Anne Hathaway, she's like this really popular celebrity. Yeah, she's like a really big celebrity
I know she
and
is, but what is she in the movie?
I know they should have done like a Julia Roberts. She should have just played herself.
Right?
But yeah, I forgot her name in the movie, but she's big. She's a big name. And the plan, they let you know what the plan is. They want to get this. Oh, she does kind of like a Danny Ocean thing where Lou's like, how are we gonna ever steal it from that vault or whatever? Um, and she says they're gonna bring it to us. So her plan is to get this designer who designs dresses because they want to do it at a Met Gala. That's where they want to do the steal. They get this designer who's like down on her luck. She's like going through this crisis where like people aren't liking her dresses and she needs money and things like that. So they go up to her and they're like, "Hey, we could fix all your problems. We just need you to design a dress for Anne Hathaway. And we need you to convince the people like the yeah, whoever is in charge of like holding this super expensive necklace that costs $150 million.
hmm
We need you to convince them to put it on her neck to have her wear it for one night." And they do that. They convince him to do that. So they get like this down in the dumps designer. She's actually really good, but she's like going through a slump kind of thing. So she's really good. And then they get this hacker, and it's played by Rihanna. Apparently, that's how I figured this out a while ago, but it's Rihanna and not
Oh,
Rihanna.
oh, this is news to me.
Yeah, it was news to me too. Apparently, it's one of those things that people say wrong. Just like I used to say Zendaya and it's Zendaya, even though
Oh yeah,
it's spelled Zendaya. Um,
I used to go Zendaya, but yeah.
I used to say Zendaya because I heard other people say it, but when you spell it out, it is Zendaya.
hmm
Yeah, Rihanna. So Rihanna's the hacker, and then they have Mindy Kaling. She's like she works at like a jewelry store, so she's really good at knowing fakes and just like reading the the purities of diamonds and things like that. So they got her for that. Who else is in there? Oh, Aquafina. They got Aquafina. She's like the lioness of the group because she's a pickpocketer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is the part that I thought this is when I still thought like, oh, all right, they're being a little heavy-handed with this because when they first see her, Debbie and Lou, I feel so weird calling them that because it's like, is that really their names? Anyways, um, they go to
Sandra and Kate.
Sandra and Kate. Yeah, Sandra and Kate. They go to scope out. You know, they're scoping out the talent. So they go to this park where Aquafina, she has a hustle going on. She's doing like what's it called with like the three cards, like follow the cards.
Oh yeah, yeah, with the cups,
No, she's doing
or
it
is
with
it?
the cards. So
Okay.
like two red aces and one black ace, things like that. So she's doing a hustle. She's really good. They see that she's really good at sleight of hands, and then she obviously takes money from this guy. They can't keep up. And then when she's like, "Oh, it's okay," they go in for a hug. Bam, she takes his watch without him noticing. And then they're like, "Oh, she's good. She's fast." And then they go talk to her. She's at Subway's just getting lunch, and then they're convincing her, "Hey, we need you for this. You're gonna get all this money, blah blah blah." And then she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm down." And then she's about to walk out, and they're like, "Wait, give me my watch back." She's like, "Oh, all right." And then she's about to walk out, and she's like, "Wait," and give her watch back too. She's like, "Oh, okay." And then it was funny, but I was thinking, all right, I get it. I get it. You want us to know that she's really good at pickpocketing. Like, really good.
Hmm.
But also, I want to say on a side note, since I never knew who Aquafina was, I've only heard her name. And it wasn't until Shang-Chi that I really liked her. And Shang-Chi, she plays like a really frumpy girl. Like, I don't know. I didn't know if that was her bringing like some of her personality to that character. But I'm like, I don't know. She's kind of weird, but I like it. And she's not really like that in Ocean's 8, but I I like her. I think she's funny, and she's usually the comedy relief in the movies that she's in. But yeah, I think she's a cool character here. She's kind of just like a younger girl who she's like struggling with rent and things like that. Like you could tell she's out at park benches just having a side hustle be her main job.
Hmm.
So like even one of the small scenes that they bring up, she's like talking to Sandra Bullock and she's like, "Hey, do we get Metro cards? Because I'm coming a long way out from Queens, and if we're gonna do this, do all these meetups, can I have a Metro card?" And she's just like, no. When you get all this money, you could buy all the Metro cards you want." But yeah. Anyways, I'm getting really detailed with all that, but basically, to start generalizing it, they they plan out the whole Met Gala thing, right? They managed to get the necklace on Anne Hathaway. She's wearing it. They have a dress for her. And they're planning out everything just like they did in the original Ocean's movies. They're planning out who's going to be on security, um how Anne Hathaway is going to be under constant watch so that they can't just easily pickpocket like pull it off her neck. And also on top of that, that necklace has a very specific magnetic pin that you have to use to pull it off. So they're just figuring all these things out. What they eventually start doing, or how the plan actually worked out, is they like put some sort of, I don't know what's it called, but they put something in Anne Hathaway's food to make her throw up. So like she runs to the bathroom and pretty much the bathroom is the only place that doesn't have a camera in the whole Met Gala. So that's the one chance that they have to steal the necklace off of her. So while she's like barfing in the toilet, Aquafina, she's playing one of the bathroom attendants. And she's like, "Oh, are you okay? Hold on, let me hold your hair up, blah blah blah." And then bam, she unclips it, takes it, and boom, they start passing it to each other. They start finding ways to get it out of the gala, whatever. And this whole time I'm thinking, dang, Anne Hathaway is so cool. Like she's so great in this role because she's really playing like this over the top, um, really popular celebrity who cares about the way she looks. And the way they even got this designer to design her dress is like she would have never looked at her, but like this other celebrity they found that she's kind of like bumping heads with and is kind of jealous of. They managed to get that designer to like talk to her and look like very friends and buddy buddy. They took a picture. That picture made it to the news, and then Anne Hathaway is like, we're gonna get this designer for me." And yeah, that's how they get her dress, whatever. And Anne, she's just playing it like I don't know what to call it, but she's like she has to be the center of attention, but it's just funny because she's does it in like an elegant way, or she's just like I don't know. I feel like she's not unlikable. You know, she didn't play like a snotty celebrity. She just played like a celebrity that cares about herself and wants things done for herself, but she didn't like mistreat anybody or anything like that. So I was thinking, man, it would have been so cool if they had her part of Ocean's team instead of being the antagonist. It would have been so cool if they did that. And since I'm spoiling it, that's one of the twists, sort of, and they did do that. She became part of the team after they stole the necklace off of her.
So, Anne Hathaway, even though she's on the poster, she's not originally part of the team.
No, yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because
Whoa.
you look at the poster and you think, "Oh, she's part of Ocean's
I
team."
I had always assumed that.
Yeah, and I should have assumed that too. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. But in the story, they're stealing the necklace from her. She's not in on it at all. They never recruit her.
Oh
The
my
the
goodness.
only time that they get her to join is when the designer is, they made her dress, she looks beautiful, and then she's trying to get convinced to like wear the necklace. She's like, "Oh no, I don't like it. It'll look bad." And then they're like, "Oh no, you have the best neck in the world. You're the only one that could pull this off." And then they're like, "All right, let's try it on." And then they put it on her. And then that's when they find out that they need that magnet clip to take it off. And then the designer, she starts panicking. She's like, hold on, can I see that again? I'm very curious about that. That's interesting." They're like, "Yep, this is the only way to take it off." And then they put it on her again, and then they show her taking it off, and this time she's like sneakily recording it with her phone. But Anne Hathaway, she notices, and we don't know that she notices until they flash back, but she notices and she's like, "Okay, something's up, something's fishy." And I thought it was played really smart because, at least for me, I didn't know she was like a part of this or like wanted to be a part of it until they actually reveal it. But there was something she was doing that I thought, why isn't she giving this away? Because when she lost a necklace, there were people asking her like, "Where was the last place you put it? Who were you last with?" And she's like, "Nobody. You saw me the whole time. I was at the table." And he said, "Did you run into anyone in the bathroom?" And this was her chance to say yes, the bathroom attendant. But she said, "My head was in a toilet. I was sick. I was barfing." And I thought, huh, that's so interesting. And she probably forgot, like in the heat of the moment, that somebody was helping her. But no, that was part of it, and she wanted in on it. She wanted in on the heist. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was so cool.
I might
And
watch this. I might watch this. That seems pretty neat.
I, I'm I feel like I've gotten so into this. I feel like I was talking forever. I'm sorry. I feel like you need to just tell me what you
Bruh,
think about what you've seen
after
because I
I
got so
have
long.
talked for like 2 hours about oceans and you're like, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Bruh,
I
it's
can't
about
remember the
time.
last time I wasn't talking. That's the problem.
It's about time you held up your end of the conversation.
How long have I been talking? I feel like I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's refreshing. It's very refreshing. I was able to drink water, do some research for
Caroline,
once.
this movie won me over. It really did when I was looking at it from the mindset of like, uh-oh, might not be that good. It won me over and I think it is really good and that's why I'm kind of happy to talk about it. I have no idea what the Rotten Tomato score is, but it was really cool. And then one last thing. So that wasn't even like that's how they got me. There's still another moment, just like I said for Ocean's 11. I'm like, oh, this is going pretty well, but how are they gonna catch me? Like, what am I missing? So they take the necklace and they start like breaking it, like as diamonds, pieces of diamonds, connected into a necklace. So they
Mhm.
basically just take the hoops off and separate all the diamonds individually. And they started selling it, but the way it sells individually is not nearly the same cost that it sells as a
Altogether.
necklace. Yeah, exactly. So they do that. Some of the girls get money from that. But the final piece, they leave it to frame the ex-boyfriend. And Anne Hathaway, she's fully on board with this plan now, and this ex-boyfriend ends up being her date for the Met Gala, and they kind of got a thing going, whatever. So the final step is for her to just go to his house, seduce him, and yeah, like just plant the diamond in a drawer. They left it just on his nightstand. So the way she did that is like she went over there and she put him in handcuffs because he thought they were ready to Marvin Gaye and get it on. So she put him in handcuffs, and then she just planted the diamond right there on his nightstand where he didn't see it because he has like this is a very fancy New York apartment, so it's huge. So she just went to like his closet area out of sight and just left it there. Took a picture, and this is my this is my only no, let me not get to that yet. Took a picture, sent it to somebody who sees it, and they're like, "Oh, this is probable cause, all right." And then they're able to get him on that. But yeah, so I'm like, "Oh, so what's the catch? What's the twist?" And then the girls are all together in a group, and they're like, "Hey, so now that we've sold this, you said we're supposed to have like, this much money divided between all of us, but we don't have nearly that much." And then Sandra Bullock, she's like, "Well, that wasn't the whole plan. While everyone was so busy looking for this necklace, because at the Met Gala, when it went missing, they evacuated the whole place. They locked it down and put everybody in like the lobby, and they said, no one's leaving until we find out who took this or where this went because it's so expensive. So while all that was happening, there are this is this is a place with very expensive items, and one of those rooms had these like mannequin looking things, but they were really just like beautiful statues. And they had very expensive jewelry, like necklaces, tiaras, and things like that. And there was a lot of them. They stole all of it. They stole all of it while everybody was busy trying to find the one necklace. So, oh, and they also have like this machine. They have a 3D printer pretty much, and they were using this material that I forgot the name of to make the replicas, just like they did in the other ocean movies. They would make a replica to look like the jewelry. So that's exactly what they did. They made replicas of all this jewelry, made it look exactly alike, and then switched them out. So it's flashback to Sandra Bullock with the rest of the Ocean's 8, and she's like, "Well, while everyone was distracted, we got all of this." She opens up the safe, bam, and then everyone's jaw drops, and they're like, "Yeah, with this we should get about like 30 million each." And then everyone is so happy. Everyone has like their Ocean's 11 walk away with money moment. So since they were at a Met Gala, everyone had like a beautiful dress on, and they all had like their fierce woman walk away or walk towards the camera moment. So it was really cool. It was really cool. Oh, and they brought back the amazing yen to help them with that final part of the heist.
Yeah, I was looking at the cast and I'm like, hey, the amazing Yen is in there. The guy who plays Ruben is
Yeah,
in there.
Ruben was there. Well, you should have seen Ruben because he was there very early in the movie.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just remembering all of this. It says right here in this IMDb, Matt Damon and Carl Reiner, who Carl Reiner is Saul, were supposed to come out in this film, but their scenes were cut. Very,
Wow.
yeah, very interesting. But yeah, there's some like this is it's its own thing, but they do have some people from the OG Oceans in here. But I do like that. I like that like they have that classic Oceans twist.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it too, because it felt like I've been following it along pretty well. Are they gonna get me in any way? And they did, and that's what I liked. And I especially loved the ending of the movie. Oh, by the way, remember how I saw Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 8, and then Ocean's 13 with you?
Yeah.
So Ocean's 8 has a big spoiler in it, or I didn't
It
consider.
I know what it is. I know what it
Yeah.
is. I know what
So
it is. It's about
apparently,
Danny.
and I don't think it's confirmed, but apparently Danny is dead. Danny
He's
Ocean.
not.
Yeah. And that's why it didn't bother me because I thought, even if he is dead, I don't know how he dies. I don't know if this is a lie and he's not really dead. I don't know when he dies. I don't know any of that. I don't know if they show it off camera or if they show it in Ocean's 13. There was just too many questions. But it was funny that it was there. I was like, oh, all right, so I guess he's dead. But I wanted to bring that up because the end of the movie. So you saw the beginning. He has like this fancy coffin. I don't know what it is. It's like a mural. No, mural.
Yeah, mural.
Yeah. That she goes visits, and then that's when Ruben shows up the first time. She she sees Ruben at Danny's grave. Can you call it that? When it's like a really fancy like marble
Yeah, you can
wall.
call it that.
All right.
As mural.
Yeah. So at Danny's grave. Um. Yeah. So it starts like that. And then it also ends with her revisiting his grave. She goes there. They pulled off an amazing heist. She got her ex-boyfriend locked up. And I like that motivation because he did it to her straight up and didn't care. So she did it back.
Hmm.
But anyway, so she goes to his grave. She sits down on this bench that's right in front of his grave. She pours a glass of wine. And then the camera is facing directly at her. So she's like, she's looking in our direction, but she's really looking at the grave. And then she just goes, "You would have liked it." And then it just ends. And then the credits roll. It is like, oh, yeah, like you would have liked the heist. Like, oh, yeah, that's awesome.
I
That's
was
so
reading
good.
some behind the scenes because I do know about that. That like this whole movie has I haven't seen it, but it's been spoiled for me. Any of like the shocking parts about it. And I remember reading an article about how that was the director's over. Well, also I should also note that this movie was produced by Soderbergh of the Ocean's
Oh,
trilogy. It was
so he had
produced by
some
him.
sort of
He had some
approval.
say. He had some influence in it.
Okay.
Because it's originally directed. Look, Ocean's 8 is directed by a guy named Gary Voss, and it's not Soderbergh, but Soderbergh does produce it. And there was a comment made by him saying this was his, or this was the movie's, the franchise's over the top way of saying George Clooney is done with Danny Ocean. And because that was another thing, just in the production process, there was always talks about whether there was going to be an Ocean's 14 because Ocean's 13 was widely successful. It had the smallest budget out of all the movies, and it made a lot of money. It made a lot of money back. I don't know if it made more than 11, but it made a lot. And so there was a lot of talk about whether there would be an Ocean's 14. But before they really started planning that, Bernie Mac sadly passed away from cancer. And so the whole, like the director and the actors felt that 13 was it. They were done. You can't have another movie and not have all of them in it. Like the 11 stay the same. So they felt like, and then George Clooney made a comment that that was his way of going out on top as Danny Ocean. He felt that Ocean's 13 was a huge success, and that's where they wanted to end it. So in Ocean's 8, they wanted this to be kind of like an over the top message of being like, the character is done. But there are some nuggets in Danny Ocean's life that we see in like 12 and in 13 that he probably faked his death. Like in 12, he's living as Miguel Diaz because he can't, make a living as Danny Ocean. And so that's a big thing that maybe that's why he's quote dead. He's also because after the Willie Bank thing, probably not all that safe. It's better to say he died and frame his death and go live somewhere in peace with Tess, kind of thing. So yeah, that was a big thing, but the movie never acknowledges and ever actually says. That's what I read up. I haven't seen 8, but can you confirm that the movie never formally acknowledges that he's dead? In the sense that, like, he died this way.
They never say how he died. They just accept that he's dead. And then there's some people who say, "Oh, sorry to hear about your brother." Things like that.
Got it. I'm in
But
the
yeah,
hashtag Danny is alive squad.
I was still I was still on the fence. I wasn't convinced that he was dead. It could
You
still
can't just,
be a framed death
yeah,
or
you can't,
yeah,
a
fake death.
staged,
Stage death, yeah.
yeah, you can't just kill Danny Ocean. But I accept this. He needs to live somewhere peacefully with Tess.
Yeah, but I was just so surprised with this movie. It's good. I really did like it.
This is the part where we now transition to the Rotten Tomatoes. So you can see which. I'll tell you what, and I'll spoil this early. I'm not going to tell you the scores. One side agrees with you, and it's your job to figure out which side that
Oh, a
is.
critic or a fan? Hmm. Ah, man, that's interesting. Who would like it more, the critics or the fans?
I want to give you a hint, but it's a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. I would say maybe the critics liked it more. Is that right?
Yep, yep.
I'm a
That's
critic. Oh no.
welcome to the Critics Club.
So what would it get? Like 70?
This is very surprising to me
Uh-huh.
because it has the same Rotten Tomatoes critic score as Ocean's 13.
And what's that?
69.
Oh.
And 13 is my holy grail of movies. I love 13 to the moon and back. But critics put it on the same level as Ocean's 13.
And the fans?
Y'all ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun. What's the score? Dun, 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 dun. Tell us the
45.
score. It is not a 45.
It's a 45. Based on 10,000 reviews, it's a 45.
Wow.
Fans really didn't like this movie.
Uh, why?
So
Why did you
the
guys not like it out there, huh? No.
I'm reading some of these rotten reviews.
Mhm.
Um, where is it? There's one's like one person says the movie certainly looks beautiful. Too bad they forgot to make a full movie to go along with it. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what that could
can't even
mean.
agree with that, yeah, because it was a full
Yeah.
movie.
It's okay to say Ocean's 8 isn't that great, but in the right hands, a similar spin-off or copycat could be. I think it's a fair
Yeah,
assessment.
this
I
was
haven't seen it.
definitely like I said, it really is copying a lot of Ocean's 11, which I'm okay with.
The overall like consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is Ocean's 8 isn't quite as smooth as its predecessors, but still has enough cast chemistry and flair to lift the price of a ticket from filmgoers up from an undemanding caper, which is like it's worth that and more of its ticket price. Like it's worth it to see it. I don't want to give my opinion on it because I haven't finished it. I think next episode I'll give a brief if I liked it or didn't like it. I'll watch it between now and then. But
Yeah, you should.
yeah, I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. I feel like now I'm applied to, like we're obligated to, since you're over here saying I'm not a true super fan.
I've seen more Ocean's movies than you,
I
as of
mean,
right now.
your Ocean's 8 versus my 1,000,013. I don't know.
You're right. I forgot about that part.
Ocean,
But yeah,
I
I think you should check it out.
I'll check it out. As a quick side note, I was talking to my mom about Ocean's 13, and I told my mom watching Ocean's 13 for me is like walking down the hallway of my house. I've done it so many times. I'm comfortable. And I actually today I watched the CinemaSins for Ocean's 13. I see no problem in Ocean's 13. To me, that movie has zero faults, zero CinemaSins, and it was shocking to me to have somebody of clear sound mind and body point out flaws within that film. I'm so biased to that movie, and I'll admit it. But
You
in
think
the
cinema sins are clear mind and body?
CinemaSins is looking at things to critique. So, but I'm just saying another person who is of clear sound mind and body. You know, this is another person in their opinion kind of way. We're not
Yeah.
giving a bunch of credibility to
No
CinemaSins,
more of that, Caroline. No more watching that.
but I just wanted to see what were some critiques about the movie. What are some things that people saw and didn't like and things like that. But in the comments of it were people praising Ocean's 13. Like the comments weren't even talking about what CinemaSins was talking about. The comments were all like, Ocean's 13 is my comfort movie. The Ocean's movies are classics. These movies are like kind of rough sometimes, but they withstand the test of time. And then what, like there were like so many comments about how good Ocean's 13 was, and I was like, not alone in this. I'm not alone in this, but I can definitely categorize Ocean's 13 as my comfort movie. That's my comfort film.
The why 13 over 11? Because 11 is
13
going to be my go-to. I'm going to show people 11.
13 is this goes back like this is I'm caught off guard the same way you caught me off guard last episode with why do you like westerns? It's like asking me why am I who I am, Tony.
This
Y-
is this isn't like that.
This yeah, yes it is.
No, the last
Yes,
question really was why in the world would you like this genre? But this is legitimately like these are two good movies, but why did he choose one over the other one?
I feel
Why do
like
you
it's the same.
rewatch this one over
I feel
the
like
other
it's
one?
the same. Ocean's 13.
It's not the same because then you would be watching 11 probably,
No, no,
half
no,
the
no.
time that you're
I
watching
mean, it's the
13.
same type of question. It's like, why do you like westerns? And I'm like, because I do.
No,
And then why do you
I
like
was questioning
13?
your sanity with the Western
We're gonna
question.
have a bone to pick after this episode. I'm telling you that right
But
now.
with 13, I'm just asking in a friendly manner
Mm.
because, one is
Ocean's
just as fun. 11 is just as fun.
11 is good. 11 is the standard. It's amazing, and I can't knock it. It's
Because there's
critic,
probably scenes
but
that you like to rewatch. There's probably jokes that you like to hear again. That's what
in
I want to know.
11 or in
And
13? No, no.
13, because that's the
In
one you
13, it's the whole movie. I can quote it up and down. I know every line exactly how it's delivered. I will tell you this. I love the music in 13. The score is the best score. I've heard that soundtrack on repeat. It's the best
there
soundtrack.
we go. That's the answers I want to hear.
And
That's
then
something 11 doesn't have.
13 has the best score. On top of that, each actor and character is completely comfortable in their role. Linus is not lacking confidence. He's Linus. He knows his job. He knows what to do. Everybody knows what to do. We're not spending time. 11 does the great part. That's the heist setup movie. This movie is the perfect sequel to a heist movie because it doesn't take the time to repeat what happened in the first. We already know who everybody is established, and now they're going to do the job. We don't have to be explained what their jobs are. Everybody immediately falls into their role. And then on top of that, they're going against someone like Willie Bank. Al Pacino is amazing in this role. He's the perfect villain to go up against in a heist movie. And then Terry Benedict is part of the team. He's the 13th in Ocean's 13. So we have this amazing character from one aligning with the people we were rooting with. It's a match made in heaven. And even like that scene where Danny is getting him ready to take him to that gaming expo, and he's doing like he's rehearsing in the mirror because this is like the first time he's ever gone along with a job like this. This is something out of
Wait,
his
like
element, but
knock knock?
he was looking in the mirror and he was like in Tunica, Mississippi, prime placement, exclusive rights.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's having fun with it. Terry Benedict, this is the first time we talked about how he was a straight-laced guy, and he's able to now, this is something outside his element, and he's having fun with it. He's rehearsing because he's going to play the role, and it's just so interesting to see that dynamic change. But he's still Terry Benedict. He's still going to have that blitz coming, but of course Ocean is going to outsmart him in the end, and then he donates his part to charity. We get the whole Oprah bit. It's just absolute perfection. It's, to me, this is like, I talk a lot about, I'm going to bring up the movie I talk about all the time. It's like Shrek. With Shrek 1 and 2, I talk about how Shrek 2 is like
How
the
is this like
perfect
Shrek?
sequel.
Yeah,
Well,
let's hear it.
no, 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 no. Not in anything about plot. I'm talking about in terms of the sequel. A
Okay.
sequel movie should be something that doesn't rehash the first movie. It should treat its audience with enough intelligence that we don't need to be retold the first movie. We don't have to have, any flashback, any catching up to do. We know, the sequel should take the movie of the first one and treat the audience with intelligence, and then expand or take our crew, they're already in their places, in their positions, and take our characters into a territory we haven't seen them but still feels familiar. You get what I mean? So
It sounds
how
exactly
there's
like Ocean's 13.
exactly.
That's what I wanted to hear. Those are legitimate reasons that makes it different from Ocean's 11.
I just love it. I love it so much. It really is a comfort movie because all of these characters already know each other. They already work together. And 11, part of it is them working together. And they all know each other. That's the thing. Is like it's not like as if they don't know each other, but like Linus, he sits apart from everybody and Ruben has to tell him, "Get in the house." No. And in 13, they are a family. They're already a unit. They eat together, they joke together, they make plans with one another, all of that. And then they immediately, nobody has to call one another. It's like Ruben is in the hospital, they're all there. Like that's it.
That part, just to go back to Ocean's 12 for just a little bit, I thought it was really no, well, I guess the presence of Terry Benedict, but I was gonna say they got together way too quick after they pretty much decided to do their own thing and kind of half retire for a bit after they got so much money. And that's another thing that I thought like, oh, that was done really easy. They're like, guys, we got a job to do. All right, everyone's in their own country. We're all gonna meet up, and we already have tickets to Amsterdam. No questions asked. Let's go. But that was the tone of the movie, and in 13 it seemed more like a family thing, like we care about each other. In 12 it
And
seemed like we got to get the plot going. Go.
exactly. And you notice how like in 13 they don't waste time with something like that. 12 did that because 12 was also kind of piggybacking off of 11, just in the setup structure of the film where we have to show these individual scenes of where everybody is and then reunite them and then get them all to one location again. 13 doesn't waste your time with that. 13 tells us the premise, Ruben is in the hospital. It shows us that intro with Ruben and Willie Bank and everything, and then he has a heart attack. The very next scene is all 12 of them, all 11 of them, I'm sorry, in the hospital. Like we don't have to pan to where each of them was. They're all together, and they're already planning. Okay, how are we gonna get this guy?
That's another thing you reminded me of too, that usually I'm not counting all of them until yeah, when I was watching 13, then I was thinking, wait, who's the 13th one? And in Ocean's 12, I was thinking, okay, well, yeah, Sandra Bullock, that's easy. And
No, no, no. It's Julia Roberts.
you're right, Julia Roberts. And then in Ocean's 8, I didn't count them until Anne Hathaway showed up in their warehouse while they were planning, and then she
Now
basically
they're 8.
joined them. I'm like, oh,
That's a big deal.
now is it? Yeah, that's cool.
That's a big part of the movie structure for Oceans
Yeah,
is the number. In 'cause in 12, Roman Nagel comes out in it, but he's not the 12th. It's Julia Roberts. It's Tess. And in 13, I was thinking about that. I was like, who are the 13 after I saw it for like the third time many moons ago. Um and yeah, it was Roman Nagel who officially joined and Terry Benedict. So, and then I guess in 8, they started off with 7 and then bam, now they're really 8.
yeah, but maybe smarter people who watch this movie, they'll catch on to all this. For me, I was enjoying how it was being revealed, and I wasn't catching on early on.
I catch on. But I catched on after 11. I was like, "Wait, this movie's Ocean's 12. Where's the 12th?"
Yeah. So you would have been counting already.
Oh yeah, I counted immediately.
But yeah, anything you want to say for our wrap up since I think we've went into good detail over this whole franchise.
I think this might be our longest episode.
Yeah.
And it's a shame I forgot in my um excitedness. I forgot to say what I usually wanted to say at the top of the show. I'm gonna have to do like a little reminder. But if you're listening, I'll say this before we get to the end. If you're listening, remember to follow. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit a like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon. And if you're talking to a friend, bring it up in conversation. Do a little word of mouth spread. We really like that. We appreciate it. Um, I also want to give a shout out to one of our listeners. Tony, do you know what Spotify Wrapped is?
No, what's that?
Spotify Wrapped is something Spotify does every December, and it's basically it's always trending whenever it happens. It's a pretty popular trend, but Spotify will give you a kind of summary on your most listened to songs, artists, and podcast. And they do that every year. And so I finally switched over to Spotify this year, and I got like my first Spotify Wrapped. I was really happy, but one of our listeners got us as like I think number three or four for his top podcast listened to.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, so
For the
Josh,
year?
yeah, for the year. Josh, thank you so much for listening to us. Your support means the world.
That's dang. What?
Are you blown away by this?
Yeah, number 3 for the whole year.
Well, 3 or 4, I can't remember correctly, but we're on his top 5 of podcasts on his Spotify.
That's wild. That's wild.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way.
Yeah, thanks,
How
Josh.
do you
You're the
make it
best.
there so fast? I mean, wow. I'm surprised. I'm trying to think how do you do that?
I mean, to be fair, we do have long episodes.
Yeah. Dang, but that means you got to hear the whole thing.
He does.
Josh is probably like the only one listening right now.
We gotta leave a little message. You want to say something to him?
Yeah. Am I gonna meet him?
Yes, you are.
All right. I'll see you. I'll see you soon, man. Thanks.
That was really sweet.
Also, you know what I was thinking too? I think for several episodes I haven't been saying my name.
I've been saying enough of our names for both of us.
All right. I'm cool with that.
Why are you concerned about your name?
I'm not concerned. I just thought about it because you're like, oh, I like to say this at the start or whatever. I'm like, what do I say at the start? I usually don't say the same things. But
You just go at your own pace.
yeah, it's all right. Whatever comes out to get the show started, it's fine.
What a way.
But
But
man,
yeah,
oh yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna go on to something different unless
Do
you were
it.
gonna finish up.
No, I was gonna go on to some. I was just trying to transition. You go.
I like this episode. There was a lot to talk about. That's what I was gonna
I
say.
I'm so happy. I think you could kind of gauge how excited I was when you sent me the text.
Uh-huh.
Wh- I I was having a pretty bad week. Just not like bad, like, anything actual bad happening. Just the motions of studying for finals, the stress, the emotional weight of it all finally coming to an end and having all of these deadlines and things due, and then all of that, like, just constant pressure and anxiety that comes with it. And then getting the text of this weekend we're watching the Oceans movies. That was immediately a mood booster. That was like my mindset changed from like I need to survive. I need to talk about oceans this week on the pod.
Just a couple
I
more days.
just a couple more hours and I can watch. And then when I was like, "Oh, you want to watch Ocean's 13 with me?" and you were like, "Yeah, with you." I was like, "I just need to survive to watch Ocean's 13 with Tony."
Yeah, did you feel like you got everything out? Because this was the episode. So if you feel like you're missing anything, just bring it up right now.
The
Because
diner scene, we haven't talked about that.
oh yeah, we
But
didn't mention that at all.
I don't want this to be like a 5-hour episode, but I do feel like we need to bring up the diner scene.
The diner scene, I thought it was gonna be more mysterious,
But
but
like it's not a mystery. It's just out of nowhere. Like it dedicates a good maybe minute and a half to 2 minutes of this character who is later revealed to be Linus's father driving. He stops at a diner, looks at two of his agents and says, "Let's go." The camera holds on these two agents for a solid 5 seconds. That's it. Those two agents are not relevant to the plot. They are not relevant. They have no speaking roles. They are background characters. It didn't establish Linus's father as anything. It's not like as if it was showing him talking to any of the crew, as if he was in on it. It's not even validating him as an agent. It does nothing for his character to push or pull him in a certain direction to give the viewer a hint. This scene literally accomplishes nothing. And it is a mind-boggling mystery to me why it was even included.
I think it could be simply explained as those agents were probably gonna have more to do, and then it got cut out. Their scenes got cut out, and this is one that they just left in because they forgot or they didn't think it was worth removing.
They didn't think that, what did this come out? 2007? They didn't think that, let me do quick math.
All right, where's this going? Are you gonna put blank years ago that
They didn't think that 14 years later, some girl was going to talk about it endlessly on a podcast because they were like, "Oh, let's just leave this scene in. Nobody will notice." And then here I am, like, "Why is it there?"
I think it was just a mistake. When you first explained it to me, I thought it was gonna be something with like an Easter egg or kind of a mystery that no one solved. But yeah,
It is a mystery that no one saw. Why is it
it
there?
it
We
just
don't know.
seems like a mistake. My first guess is that those agents were gonna just have more dialogue scenes, be
A
a little bit more
mistake
important,
in
but they
oceans?
removed it.
A mistake in oceans? I feel like there's something I'm missing, but
E-
yeah, I just
Every
maybe
movie
for the
has,
sake
you know, its
for the
imperfections.
for the sake of my sanity, it is better to chalk it off as a mistake.
I'm sure there's got to be information online. You
I
probably got to
googled
dig deep.
it.
You probably have to
I've
go to
done.
page 2 of Google.
Oh, I've gone to page 5. No man has gone before.
It's probably on page 6.
Now that you say that,
It's got to be something where they mention, "Oh yeah, we forgot to take that scene out." Oh well.
Ocean's 13 diner scene.
Watch the answer come up right now. We forgot to edit that scene out. We were setting up the agents for a bigger
Ocean's
role,
13 frequent. There's an Ocean's 13 frequently asked questions page. What?
and you're
Um,
not on it.
and I'm not on it.
What do you type in on Google? Are you typing in the right things?
Are you questioning my Google
Yeah,
abilities?
yeah.
What do you think I'm typing?
I think you're not typing in Google into Google Ocean's 13 diner scene question mark.
I didn't put question mark, but I typed in Ocean's 13 diner scene.
That's a problem right there.
What's the problem?
What did you get?
I found a Reddit article.
This is the one that's breaking it down. What does it say?
Did you find this and you wanted me to find this?
No, I haven't looked it up yet. I was gonna save it for. I was gonna break it down myself by watching it.
This Reddit post from 2 years ago. We've established the movie came out 14 years ago.
Okay.
Says at this timestamp, that's the timestamp where he picks up. It says, in Ocean's 13, what is the matter with Linus's dad? He can be seen picking up a man and a woman from a roadside restaurant. He's seen watching a railing, two people behind him, plus a bodyguard. And bad news just walked in. He's arrested. Who are the two people he picked up from the roadside restaurant? And why does the team call him bad news when he walks in?
He's asking the wrong questions. You already
He's
know
he's
all that.
asking the wrong questions.
Yeah.
I want to know why that scene is there and do those. Let's go corkboard theory. If those two people at the diner were established as not officially part of the gaming commission where he works. So, because the whole idea is his goal is to smuggle Livingston out and also provide a way for them to steal the diamonds. Because that's what he's doing. He, quote, arrests Livingston and puts him in the back of his car, but that's Livingston's way out safely. And then he goes and helps Linus secure the diamonds. So it would have to be that those two people are in on it to help Livingston get away. Otherwise, they're going to actually book him and arrest him. But that's not
they do have to be in
established.
on it. That's right.
But that's not established. I guess just by him picking them up, they're not at the office. They're just dressed like FBI agents. And then the movie in Ocean's 11 does set up this guy. His name is Bobby Caldwell, and he's like a master thief. And that's why they are bringing in Linus, was as a favor to his dad in Ocean's 11. So these could be part of his gang, but that's not established. I just feel like maybe the movie wants us to piece that together, but it doesn't do that good of a job explaining that. That's just kind of the
My theory is still it was a scene that forgot to be deleted. But what is going to allow you to sleep at night? What theory is enough to satisfy this curiosity?
At this point in my life, Tony, I don't know if any theory could satisfy my curiosity.
I'll Google it after this. I'm not going to click clack on my keyboard. I'll find you the answer real quick. Watch. That question mark is going to make all the difference.
Like clacking on my keyboard angrily.
I mean, I don't hear yours, but you're going to hear mine. So I'm not going to do it right now.
Okay. I think I've talked about everything I've wanted to get off my chest.
I want you to be satisfied with this episode. Everything is off your chest.
You know what though?
Off your mind.
I did want to ask you an important question. I'm not sure if you answered it, but
Okay.
I want a definitive answer for this end of the episode and for my own sake.
Okay.
Did you like Ocean's 13?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay. Very happy about that.
Yeah. Just to make it clear, my only nitpick is just watching it the first time. I wanted to be in on the plan.
I guarantee you, and I highly encourage you to watch it again on your own time, whenever you have some free time and you want to put a film on. It is so much better on the rewatch. Like, it's good in its own right on the first watch, but it is amazing on a rewatch.
But I know Ocean's 11 is going to stay my number one
It's good.
because
It's
Terry is maximum Terry.
good. I'm a senior partner. Last money in, first money out.
So yeah. What do you say? We're
I've
done with
said
this?
I've said all I wanted to say. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me know these movies exist. I knew they existed, but I would have watched it, right, if you haven't told me about it, so,
That's yeah, if I hadn't talked endlessly about it every chance I get each episode.
yeah. So here it is, and I mean, 3 out of 4 of them are good.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give Ocean's 8 the benefit of the doubt. We can say that.
Give
3 out of
Ocean's 8
4
a
of the
chance.
I will. I'm gonna give it a chance.
That's what I
I'm
want
gonna
people to
watch it.
walk away with
My
from this
goal is
episode.
watch 13. My goal is Ocean's 13, best film of all time. But yeah, that's a good goal too.
My
Give
goal
Ocean's 8
is
a chance.
Ocean's 8, give
You've
it a
accomplished
chance.
that. You've accomplished that with me. I'm gonna give it a chance.
It's not as bad as you think. I think it probably got lost in the shuffle of all the other, all-woman female cast reboots that have come
Yeah.
out.
And I did just I watched Ocean's 12 last night and I forgot how different I'm putting it lightly, how different it is. So, it would be nice to see this one. I figured it can't be 12. That's like my way of putting it.
Yeah, I can confidently say it's better than 12.
I'll give it a shot.
I have no problem saying that. I don't think that's controversial at all. It's better than 12.
I think you're right on the mark with that one.
Okay. So, yeah. Guys, thanks for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, man, I wish I had a ribbon for you, but I don't. But thank you.
We'll
This was a
make
long
one.
episode. No, we gotta make a ribbon for one
I know
person?
exactly. Come on, is it not worth it?
What does it say on there?
Number 1 listener.
He was number one. I was gonna put an Ocean's quote on it, but I couldn't think of one. But yeah, anyways, man, this is a long episode. But I enjoyed it the whole way through, and I hope you guys did too.
I did. I'm so glad to finally hear Tony talk for more than 30 seconds
Oh
on
yeah,
end.
oh my gosh. I guess I liked Ocean's 8 a little bit more than I
I,
thought I
I,
did because
I just didn't think, yeah, I didn't think it would be for the movie Ocean's 8, but hey, miracles happen.
I got so lost. I got so lost in what I was saying. I was thinking about
Oh
that
no,
movie so much.
you were not lost. You were very focused on what you wanted to communicate about this film, and I'm here for it.
I guess I lost track of time of how long I was talking. When I edit this, I'm gonna see how long I go on for. I'll probably cut some of it out so it doesn't take too long.
No, you better not.
All right, let's wrap it up. Guys, thanks for listening.
Thank y'all so much.
You heard what
Really
you gotta do.
appreciate y'all.
Caroline told you all that good stuff. We're everywhere where you listen to podcasts.
We're everywhere. Period.
Have a good rest of your day.